Chapter 542. You're oversimplifying things. That was in the past. Things are different now. The research base has reached a critical point, so I will follow you no matter what. You should think about how to deal with our relationship in the future, Xiaochen said straightforwardly. Su Chuxia hesitated for a while and frowned. She said, "Okay, I can cooperate with you, but why don't you chase after Sour? I feel like it's a little weird for me to cooperate with you." Chase after Sour? Do you think this suggestion is feasible? Xiaochen asked Su Chuxia curiously. Why not? It's just a reason. Sour is easy to get along with. You can just treat her to meals more often. Su Chuxia suggested. I chase after her, and I will follow you home? Can the two of you live together every day? Xiaochen asked. This. I don't think so. Su Chuxia shook her head. That's right. So if you want less trouble and worry, try to cooperate with me. Otherwise, if you keep resisting and cause a commotion, it won't be good for anyone. Xiaochen nodded and comforted her. Are you threatening me? After hearing Xiaochen's words, Su Chuxia almost died of depression. Okay, I'm afraid of you. Let's do this, but don't go too far. Hee, okay, I will try not to harass you in school, but you can't leave the school's perimeter. Don't go out of the school gate at noon. If you want to go out, you must inform me immediately. Xiaochen said. Otherwise, I can only follow you everywhere. Okay. Su Chuxia thought about it and felt that Xiaochen was okay. At least he was easier to talk to than Xiao Meng. That guy was stubborn. Can you tell Sour about this? Up to you, but it's best not to tell her, Xiaochen said. Then forget it. Although she is my friend, it's better not to let her know about this. I don't want her to be involved. Su Chuxia shook her head and denied this idea. Okay. Xiaochen nodded. Hurry up and cook. I'm hungry. If I starve to death, let's see how you explain yourself. Su Chuxia snorted angrily and left the kitchen. Even though she had gone against her will to accept reality, she still had some anger in her heart. Xiaochen did not bother to argue with her and continued with his work. Chuxia, why did you stay in the kitchen for so long? What did you say to Xiaochang? Don't tell me you thought it through and decided to give him a chance. Tian Suruan looked at Su Chuxia strangely. She had been watching TV for half an hour before Su Chuxia came out. Su Chuxia wanted to deny it, but she remembered her promise with Xiaochen, so she said, I'll go and see if he really knows how to cook. And then? Tian Suruan looked at Su Chuxia curiously. It doesn't take that long to cook, right? I talked to him to see what he thinks, Su Chuxia said. Then what does he think? Tian Suruan asked. He didn't think much. He just said that if he wants to pursue me, I said it's not possible. He said that he won't force me to do anything, so let him be. Su Chuxia pretended to be very casual and said, if that's the case, then I don't care. It doesn't affect me anyway. Chuxia, why would you say that? Are you starting to like Xiaochang a little and planning to give him a chance? Tian Suruan looked at Su Chuxia with a smile and asked. How is that possible? Su Chuxia could not help but be stunned for a moment. She quickly denied it. I just feel that he is very persistent, and he is not as annoying as Kai Wuliang, so I can't be bothered with him. What else can I do? I don't let him follow me, and he said he would go home. Aren't I just looking for trouble? I might as well let him be. That's true. Tian Suruan nodded and was a little surprised. I didn't expect you to think it through, Chuxia. Then I can eat with peace of mind later. Otherwise, I will feel burdened. If he asks me to help him pursue you, I will be in trouble. As the two of them were talking, waves of fragrance wafted out from the kitchen. Tian Suruan's eyes widened in an instant. Damn, Chuxia, Xiaochang really knows how to cook. Right, this person is so strange. I thought he was a school bully, but now it seems that he is not. Su Chusha frowned and defended Xiao Chen. Since she knew his identity, she naturally did not have her guard up and vigilance like before. However, whether it is delicious or not, we will only know after trying it. Tian Suruan nodded. After a while, a table of sumptuous dinner was placed on the table. The dishes that Tian Suruan ordered were all prepared by Xiao Chen and were placed on the table in order. Tian Suruan looked at the dishes on the table and was a little surprised. Xiao Chang, did you transfer from a cooking school? That's not right. Even those who graduated from a cooking school are not so good. I think you are a chef from a 5-star hotel, right? You really think too much. Su Chusha did not think much of it. In her opinion, the people from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau were very mysterious. They were all a group of people with special abilities. It was not surprising that Xiao Chen knew how to cook. Then I won't stand on ceremony. I will eat first. Tian Suruan picked up her chopsticks and prepared to eat. Su Chusha was actually a little hungry, especially since the food on the table looked good. However, she was a well-behaved person. She still sat down and waited for Xiao Chen. She would not eat first before everyone else was at the table. By the time Xiao Chen came over, Tian Suruan had already eaten quite a lot. There was only food in her eyes. She was too lazy to even speak. Suruan. Can you be more mindful of your image? Su Chusha looked at Tian Suruan, whose cheeks were bulging. She could not help but feel angry. This bestie was really embarrassing her. Fortunately, Xiao Chen was from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. He was considered one of them. Moreover, he was not really pursuing her. Otherwise, it would be really embarrassing. Hey. Chusha, eat too. It's very delicious. Tian Suruan ate so much that she almost cried. It had been a long time since she had eaten such delicious food. It was simply too delicious. Chusha, I think we should be friends with Xiao Chang. He really didn't attend. Did he buy you over with just one meal? Su Chusha could not help but glare at her. Then, she picked up her chopsticks and slowly prepared to eat. However, Su Chusha only took a bite and felt that something was different. Now, she finally understood Tian Suruan's actions a little. Even someone like her, who had such a well-behaved manner when eating, had the urge to gorge herself at this moment. It was really delicious. However, fortunately, Su Chusha still restrained herself. She looked at Xiao Chen and pouted. Then, she continued eating. Xiao Chen smiled. Today's matter could be considered a happy ending for everyone. At least he did not have to continue being misunderstood by Su Chusha. Although Xiao Chen made a lot of food today, in the end, they were all finished by Tian Suruan. Even Su Chusha ate a lot more than usual. This time, she heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that Tian Suruan did not hate Xiao Chang anymore. This way, it would be more convenient for Xiao Chang to follow them. Suruan, let's go back early after eating. Su Chusha reminded him. It was almost 8 o'clock. Were they going to sleep here at night? Ah, that's right. Then, Xiao Chang, Sister Suruan will be leaving. Thank you for your hospitality. Sister Suruan is very satisfied. Tian Suruan waved her hand at Xiao Chen. Next time you cook a big meal, you can call me. Chusha and I are already here. Su Chusha was so angry that she almost kicked Tian Suruan. Was she going to betray her so quickly? Fortunately, she knew what was going on with Xiao Chen, so she did not refute. While Tian Suruan bent over to put on his shoes, Su Chusha pointed at Xiao Chen and said in a low voice, "Don't look at me with your binoculars again." Okay. Although Xiao Chen said yes, he did not think much of it. What if there was a cat burglar looking for them? At the very least, he had to pay attention to it regularly. After Su Chusha and Tian Suruan left, Xiao Chen cleaned up the dishes and returned to the bedroom. He continued to observe the situation opposite him with his binoculars. He saw that Su Chuxia and Tian Suruan had already gone back. At this moment, they were watching TV on the sofa. The two of them were chatting and laughing, but no one knew what they were talking about. Chuxia, your attitude towards Xiaochang seems to have changed a little. Tian Suruan swung his legs and leisurely lay on the sofa. What's there to change? Anyway, I will never be in a relationship. Su Chuxia said with a firm attitude. Okay. Tian Suruan nodded. Huh. The bathwater seems to be ready. I'm going to take a shower. As he said this, Tian Suruan quickly took off his clothes. In a few seconds, he was completely naked. He even pulled down his miniskirt. Huh? Suruan, what are you doing? Hurry up and put it on. Su Chuxia jumped in fright. She suddenly remembered that the curtains weren't closed yet, and Xiao Chen might still be peeping on them. Thinking of this, she immediately wanted to stop Tian Suruan. However, she did not expect Tian Suruan to move so quickly. In a few seconds, he had taken off all his clothes. Then, he ran to the bathroom, leaving behind a weak-colored silhouette. Su Chuxia slapped her forehead and stood up in pain. She closed the curtains and hoped that Xiao Chen didn't see it. Otherwise, Xiao Chen was actually stunned as well. He did not expect Tian Suruan to be so ferocious. The speed at which she took off her clothes was simply too fast. Before he could react, she had already seen everything. It was impossible for him not to look. Forget it, I didn't do it on purpose. Xiao Chen comforted himself. He did not expect Tian Suruan's skin to be so beautiful. Xiao Chen thought that it would be nice to have a girlfriend like this. It would give him a different feeling. I'm thinking too much. I should quickly finish my mission and return to Songming. However, since the two of them were fine, Xiao Chen also put down the binoculars. Then, he sat on the bed and began cultivating. Chapter 543. Not long after he sat down, Xiao Chen's phone rang. To his surprise, it was the phone from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. Moreover, it was an unfamiliar number. Hello? Xiao Chen imitated Yang Tan's voice. N? The person on the other side of the phone was stunned. After a while, he asked, Are you Xiao Chang? That Yang Jianen? Su Chuxia. Xiao Chen recognized Su Chuxia's voice, so he recovered his voice. Previously, he had been using his own voice and not Yang Jiannen's. Anyway, the Supernatural Investigation Bureau gave him a voice changer to carry out his mission. Oh, it's really you. I thought I called the wrong number. Su Chuxia confirmed that it was Xiao Chang's voice. Why is your voice different? Oh, I have a voice changer. Xiao Chen said, What's the matter? Why do you have my number? Then don't worry about it. Oh right, what were you doing just now? Su Chuxia asked. Just now? I was washing the dishes. You guys just left after eating, leaving a mess for me to clean up. Xiao Chen said doubtfully, Why? Why do you care about me? Oh, it's nothing. I was just asking. Su Chuxia sighed in relief. Fortunately, Xiao Chen didn't see Tian Suruan undressing, so she said, Suruan and I are going out tomorrow. We'll leave at around 9 in the morning. Get ready to follow us. In order to prevent Xiao Chen from monitoring her all the time, Su Chuxia directly told Xiao Chen their schedule. This way, she could relax a little. Otherwise, she would have to constantly be on guard against Xiao Chen's peeping. Okay, I got it. Happy working with you. Xiao Chen was very happy after hearing this. It seemed that Su Chuxia planned to cooperate with him. This way, he didn't have to worry about the conflict between the two of them getting worse and exposing themselves. Oh. Su Chuxia hung up. Xiao Chen looked at his phone and saved Su Chuxia's number. Su Chuxia probably had contact with the people from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, which was why she got his number. The reason why she called was probably because of Sour. These days, Xiao Chen's cultivation had been stuck at the 9th stage of qi refinement. He was only one step away from the peak, but he just couldn't go any further. This made Xiao Chen depressed. However, Xiao Chen also knew that this was due to the lack of cultivation resources. Firstly, he didn't have the help of spiritual jades. Secondly, the devil scorpion fruit hadn't been planted yet, so the supplementary medicine couldn't be decocted. If Xiao Chen wanted to cultivate, he could only rely on the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. However, how much spiritual energy could there be in the city? Xiao Chen, you don't have to worry too much. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth here is sparse. It's not your fault that you can't break through. You can wait for the devil scorpion fruit to ripen or find other opportunities. With your current strength, unless you meet a very powerful person, you should be able to break through with this mission. The elder heaven ancestor's voice sounded in Xiao Chen's ear, calming him down. Yes, his current identity was Yang Tan, and his strength was similar to Yang Tan's. Logically speaking, he shouldn't be in too much danger. Xiao Meng had protected him for a long time, but wasn't he still unharmed? Thinking of this, Xiao Chen nodded. It seemed like he had to stop pretending to be Yang Tan for a while. However, this was also a good opportunity. If he completed the mission well and continued to build a good relationship with Xia Chuxia, he might be able to secretly investigate the reason for his father's disappearance. One had to know that the Supernatural Investigation Bureau was very powerful. However, Xiao Chen couldn't do that now. It would be too easy to arouse suspicion. The night passed uneventfully. Tian Suruan and Su Chuxia lay in bed and chatted until midnight before falling asleep. When they woke up, it was already past 8 o'clock. Usually, they would wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's so comfortable. I really want to sleep in every day. Tian Suruan stretched and climbed out of bed. Chuxia, where are we going to play today? I'm going to Azure Mountain today, Su Chuxia said after looking at the diary on her phone. Why are we going there? Didn't we say we're going to play video games? Tian Suruan asked curiously. What's there to play? It's so cold and windy on the mountain. Sister Suruan is going to freeze to death. I'm going to Tianqing Temple to ask for medicine for Grandma. Her rheumatic legs hurt unbearably every winter. But Taoist priest Lu Li of Tianqing Temple has a type of celestial water that can treat it. It doesn't hurt as much after applying it. I ask for some for Grandma every year, Su Chuxia said. Huh? Temple? Tian Suruan frowned. Chuxia, your father is a scientist. Why do you still believe in this? Celestial water? Isn't that all a lie? Suruan, this Tianqing temple isn't just any temple. I heard that the temple master, Taoist master Tian Xian, is a truly powerful person. He's a cultivator. Su Chuxia explained to Tian Suruan. And their celestial water isn't like what you think it is. It's different if you put some paper ash in it. What they used was a medicinal liquid refined from some heavenly materials and earthly treasures. Oh, it's similar to the medicine refiners in the warrior guild? Tian Suruan roughly understood. Then why don't you just ask for the medicine refiners? Why bother looking for them? They focus on health and healing, but the medicine sold by the warrior guild is for cultivation. That's different, Su Chuxia explained. Suruan, you'll know when you get there. There are many people asking for medicine every day. Not everyone gives it to them. It costs money? Tian Suruan really didn't care about that. Su Chuxia used to go there herself, and she only went once a year. Naturally, Tian Suruan didn't know. Money is secondary. The main thing is that you have to fulfill some conditions, and these conditions change regularly. In short, it's very troublesome to ask for medicine, Su Chuxia said. Last year, I went there several times in a row before I got it. That's so troublesome. Sigh. Tian Suruan was a little depressed. Right, didn't Kai Wuliang say that his family is very powerful in Lan City? Why don't we look for him? Let his family say something. That Taoist priest can't not give face, right? This. I don't want to trouble him. Su Chusha was thinking that Xiao Chang was from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. Wouldn't it be easier if he appeared? However, he couldn't reveal his identity so easily. If he was exposed, the Supernatural Investigation Bureau would replace him, just like what happened to Xiao Meng previously. All right. Is there any good food on the mountain? Tian Suruan slowly put on his clothes. Why do you only know how to eat? Why don't you die from eating? Su Chusha was a little speechless. Food was everywhere they went. That's a scenic area. The food is very expensive. If you want to eat, you have to pay for it yourself. I don't have money. My money might not even be enough to get medicine. Hey. Right, why don't we bring Xiao Chang there? He happens to be pursuing you, and he seems to be quite rich. How about giving him a chance to treat you? Tian Suruan suggested. Su Chusha didn't know how to explain the coincidental encounter. She wanted to pretend that it had nothing to do with her, but if there were too many coincidences, there would be problems. She was also afraid that Tian Suruan would suspect that she was a secret. Since Tian Suruan took the initiative to ask, there was no problem. Thinking of this, Su Chusha said, why bring him? If you want to bring him yourself. That's what you said. Then I'll bring him. Tian Suruan chuckled as if he had found the loophole in Su Chusha's words. I'll go find him. Hey. Oh, right, I don't have his number. Do you? I don't either. Su Chusha shook her head. Suruan, aren't you asking nonsense? How could I have his number? That's true. How about this? Let's go downstairs later. I'll press the doorbell and ask him to come down. Tian Suruan said after thinking for a while. Oh. Su Chusha didn't object, but she didn't agree either. The two of them got dressed. Su Chusha made some breakfast for Tian Suruan. Looking at the milk and bread in front of her, Tian Suruan frowned. Chusha, isn't your breakfast a little too simple? It's very nutritious. It's fine if you don't want it. Su Chusha didn't want to spoil her. Then I'll eat. Tian Suruan and Su Chusha finished their breakfast and went downstairs together. Su Chusha waited there while Tian Suruan pressed the doorbell. On Xiao Chen's side, he looked at the time. It was already 9:30. Just as he was getting dressed and preparing to go downstairs, the building's intercom rang. He pressed it and saw that it was Tian Suruan. He pretended to be confused. In fact, he was really confused. Suruan? What's wrong? What's the matter? Xiao Chang, I'm here to tell you that Chusha and I are going to Azure Mountain. Hurry down. Tian Sour said sneakily, in order to repay me, let me tell you, you have to treat me to a meal later. Okay, no problem. Xiao Chen pretended to be surprised. He didn't want to pursue Su Chusha at first, but now, for better acting, he pretended to pursue her. Anyway, he already told Su Chusha, I'm going out to buy something. Wait for me, I'll be right down. Tian Suruan didn't have to wait for long before he saw Xiao Chen push open the door. However, Xiao Chen didn't see Su Chusha, so he asked, Suruan, where's Chusha? Tian Suruan turned his head and didn't see Su Chusha either. He rolled his eyes and said, she's not here yet. I called you secretly. She'll be here soon. Look, sure enough, Xiao Chen saw Su Chusha walk out of the unit door and looked over. In fact, Su Chusha was afraid that it would be awkward to explain, so she went back again. Suruan, where did you go? Su Chusha asked. Oh, I saw Xiao Chang coming downstairs. I spoke to him and he said he wanted to go too. Tian Suruan said. Oh. Su Chusha didn't say anything. Chusha, how are we going to get there? Don't tell me we're taking the bus? There's no direct bus there. We have to walk a long way. Tian Suruan asked. Chapter 544. Let's take a taxi. Su Chusha did some calculations. It was hundreds of kilometers from here to Azure Mountain. Taking a taxi would cost a few hundred yuan, but she couldn't be stingy. Let's go to school first. I left my car there, Xiaochen said. Huh? You have a car? Tian Souring was stunned. Then, she looked at Xiaochen in surprise. Why didn't you say so earlier? We had to take the bus yesterday. You should have told me that Chusha and I would have taken your car. Ahem. Souring, what nonsense are you talking about? Even if I had a car, I wouldn't take it. Su Chusha said, but we have no choice today. Let's take a seat. Thank you, Xiaochen. Then I'll go get the car. You guys go back and wait for me. Xiaochen said. Sure. Chusha, let's go upstairs first. It's too cold outside, Tian Souring said. Okay. Su Chusha nodded. Xiaochen didn't know that the two of them were going far away. If he had known, he would have brought the car back in the morning. Now, he had to go there at the last minute. However, as a cultivator, Xiaochen could run fast. He didn't have to wait for the bus. He ran directly to New Moon Academy and drove back to the neighborhood. When he was downstairs, he called Su Chusha. Su Chusha's phone rang. Tian Souring's eyes were sharp. She saw the name, Xiao Cheng, on the caller ID and was stunned. Huh? Chusha, don't you have Xiao Cheng's phone number? Why did you say so earlier? Are you two having an affair? Huh? Oh. I know. It must have been that day when I met a pickpocket in the car. Xiao Cheng found out, then he took my phone and secretly entered it. Su Chusha explained. I see. Tian Souring was just saying it casually. She didn't believe it and picked up the phone. Xiao Cheng, I'm Sister Souring. Have you arrived? Yes, I'm downstairs. You guys can come down, Xiaochen said. What car? Tian Souring asked. Jetta, Xiaochen said. Huh? I thought it was a Porsche. Tian Wangchuan was a little depressed when he heard about the car type, but he had already returned the Maserati for maintenance. It was good enough that he still had a car. The two of them went downstairs. Su Chusha didn't think there was anything wrong with the car. She wasn't a materialistic girl. As long as she could sit in a car, it didn't matter. After getting in the car, Tian Shosho felt that something was wrong. Xiao Cheng, has your car been modified? Why was it so comfortable? There's no noise at all, and it's so smooth, without any jolts at all. Yes, I did. I spent the money to buy a Maserati, Xiaochen said with a smile. Really? Tian Soursou didn't believe it. You'll know when we get on the highway. Xiaochen laughed. On the other hand, Su Chusha believed what Xiaochen said. Since he was the leader of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, his car must have been modified to be bulletproof. Also, it should be like in the movies. The car should have some special functions, such as turning into an amphibious vehicle with the press of a button. He drove the Jetta straight to Shangqing Mountain. In the city, it didn't show much of an advantage. However, once he got on the highway, it was immediately different. Xiao Chen's speed immediately soared to 200 kilometers per hour. Wow, 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 wow. Tian Shosho was a little excited. Oh my god, it's so fast. It's even better than a sports car. This time, Sister Soursou believes it. You're really a godly car. Su Chusha frowned. Xiao Cheng, don't drive so fast. It's too dangerous. Xiao Cheng was just showing Tian Shosho. Very quickly, the speed slowed down to normal. Anyway, this car belonged to the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. No one would stop him, so he didn't mind. As Xiao Chen's speed slowed down, Tian Shosho suddenly felt less excited. She chatted with Su Chusha casually. Chusha, young people should know how to enjoy life. Racing is fun. It's so boring to drive so slowly. Tian Shosho still wanted the feeling just now, so she persuaded, Sister Sourso likes to chase after the feeling of speed. 9 out of 10 accidents are fast. The other one is an accident. Su Chusha glared at Tian Shosho. Let's race to the arcade. Oh. Tian Shosho saw that there was no hope, so she could only give up. Oh right, Chusha, what are you guys doing here? It's winter, there shouldn't be anything fun, right? Xiaochen asked with some doubts. Sigh, don't mention it. Chusha wants to go to Shangqingguan Temple to ask for immortal water to treat her grandmother's rheumatic leg. However, I think it's just a scam. Maybe it's mixed with some rheumatism ointment. Anyway, I don't believe it's that effective. Even those hospitals can't do anything about it. How can Shangqingguan Temple cure it? Tian Shosho was depressed. Oh. Xiao Chen was also slightly taken aback. He didn't expect Su Chusha to believe in such things. However, he couldn't say anything, so he could only say, some things might be psychotherapy. Moreover, the elderly might believe in this. No, Xiao Chang, the immortal water here is really useful. As long as I apply it on my grandmother's rheumatic leg, it really won't hurt anymore. Su Chusha said very firmly. If that's the case. Xiao Chen nodded and didn't refute anymore. Anyway, his duty was to protect Su Chusha from harm. As for whether she was tricked or not, it didn't have much to do with him. Xiao Chen nodded and didn't say anything else. He continued to drive, but unexpectedly, Elder Heaven Ancestor said, Xiao Chen, don't doubt it. There are many capable people in this aristocratic family. Aren't you a cultivator yourself? I'm a cultivator. What does that have to do with that Taoist temple? Xiao Chen asked with some doubts. Cultivation refers to learning the Tao and cultivating one's true self. Discarding the false and retaining the true is called cultivation. Cultivation is also known as immortal cultivation and the cultivation of inner alchemy. Therefore, those true Taoist priests are also cultivators. Elder Heaven Ancestor continued to say, cultivators have existed since ancient times. The earliest can be traced back to the era of the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors. The so-called cultivation is just following a certain method to guide external energy into the body and purposefully temper one's body to achieve the goal of far exceeding the physical strength of an ordinary human. After that, it was Taoism who carried it forward. Since ancient times, there have been more than 80 cultivation sections. Depending on the sect, the cultivation methods are slightly different and ever-changing, but the goal is the same. It's just that most of them have declined since then. I'm not sure if what Su Chusha said is true or not, but you are a cultivator yourself. Can you say that this profession is fake? Damn, so there's such a history. It seems like I'm ignorant. Xiao Chen was a little embarrassed. Yes, didn't he often use the Elder Heaven Ancestor's prescription to treat patients? There was an exit on the highway to Shangqing Mountain. Xiao Chen followed the direction indicated by the GPS and exited the highway. Not long after, a huge mountain appeared in front of him. The mountain peak was shrouded in mist, and it looked like it pierced through the clouds. It made people feel like it was a celestial mountain. It was very beautiful. Shangqing Temple was located halfway up Shangqing Mountain. The entire Taoist temple was extremely large. From the foot of the mountain, it looked very grand and imposing. This made Xiao Chen think of those celestial mountains and Taoist temples in those period movies. On the way, he already knew Su Chusha's purpose, so he drove up the mountain. He couldn't help but feel a little emotional. This Taoist temple is really big. However, when I look closer, it's a little run down. From what you said, this Taoist temple should be very profitable. Why don't you rebuild it? Such a big Taoist temple and it's an ancient building. Renovating it would cost tens of millions. If there are any complicated places, it would cost hundreds of millions. Even if they wanted to earn money, they would have to think about it. Tian Wangsu said, but you're right. I heard that this Taoist temple is quite profitable. They specialize in scamming people like Chuxia. Hey, Xiao Chang, why don't we partner up and invest in one? Pfft. Xiao Chen was a little speechless. Tian Wangsu's idea was really whimsical. Xiao Chen's car only drove a third of the way before it couldn't go any further. There was only a rugged mountain road above, and there was a large parking lot here. The other people who came here also parked their cars and walked up the mountain. What surprised Xiao Chen was that there were quite a lot of cars here. Moreover, many of them were luxury cars. It seemed that this Taoist temple might not be a scam. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many people. Of course, he couldn't rule out the possibility that it was a scam. Even Su Chuxia was attracted to it, so one could imagine. After all, Xiao Chen felt that Su Chuxia wasn't the kind of person who would trust people easily. From the fact that she wanted to check his ID yesterday, he could tell that she was very vigilant and careful. The parking spaces here were almost all occupied. Xiao Chen looked for a long time before he finally found a parking space to park. However, he didn't expect that a Land Rover would cut in diagonally, and at a very fast speed, it wanted to occupy that parking space. The speed of the Land Rover was very domineering. It had no intention of slowing down at all. If Xiao Chen didn't stop and continue to drive to the parking space, he might be hit by the Land Rover before he could reverse his car into the parking space. This kind of person was actually relying on his arrogance and wishful thinking. He felt that others wouldn't dare to go head-on with them. Moreover, he also felt that his car was big and Xiao Chen's car was small, so he didn't dare to go head-on with him. However, if he met other people, he might have avoided it. However, Xiao Chen didn't care at all. He didn't speed up and continued to reverse slowly. Ah! Tian Wangsu screamed. She also saw the Land Rover that was driving crazily and was shocked. Su Chuxia also closed her eyes in fear. She blamed Xiao Chen in her heart. Why couldn't he avoid it? You're from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, yes, but the other party doesn't know. The driver of the Land Rover obviously didn't expect the Jetta to not avoid it and continue to reverse into the parking space. This made him a little scared. He had never encountered such a situation before. Chapter 545. No matter if he snatched parking spaces or overtook other cars, the other cars would always give way. Moreover, his identity had made him develop a domineering nature. In the end, boom, a loud sound was heard. The Land Rover directly crashed into Xiao Chen's Jetta. However, the crash and death that Tian Wangchuan and Su Chuxia had imagined did not happen. Xiao Chen's car was fine. It only shook slightly from side to side. However, the Land Rover's front was dented. The entire engine compartment was deformed. It was basically ruined. Xiao Chen continued to reverse and then got into position. In the end, there were only slight scratches on the paint on the Jetta. Looking at the ruined Land Rover, Xiao Chen couldn't help but feel amused. His car was modified by the Supernatural Investigation Bureau at a great cost. It looked like a Jetta, but in fact, it was not a Jetta at all. Basically, it was similar to an armored car. The driver of the Land Rover got out of the car. He was a little dumbfounded. What is this situation? How come my car is in such a state, but the other party is fine? This is impossible, right? However, when he carefully looked at Xiao Chen's car, there wasn't even a dent. He was finally a little angry. What kind of car is this? How is this possible? How did you damage my car like this? Kid, come over here. Don't waste time. Hurry up and give me the money. Xiao Chen extended his hand to the driver of the Land Rover and said directly. Although the driver of the Land Rover didn't look like a good person with a shaved head, tattoos, and 2 underlings and a mistress in the car, Xiao Chen didn't care at all. Give me the money? Kid, you damaged my car, and you still want me to give you the money? Let me tell you, I just spent more than 3 million on this Land Rover a few days ago. I'm selling it to you now. The bald man snorted coldly and looked at Xiao Chen coldly. His two underlings also got out of the car and surrounded Xiaochen. They looked like they were going to start a fight if the negotiation didn't work out. Sell it to me? I won't buy it since it's like this. You should sell it to the scrap metal collector. Xiaochen said impatiently, hurry up and give me the money. Otherwise, I won't be polite. Huh? You're pretty cool, kid. Do you know who I am? The bald man looked at Xiaochen with some surprise. He didn't know where this kid got his confidence from. He even dared to ask for money in front of them. So what if he bumped into him? In the past, every time there was a car crash, he was the one asking for money from others. Did you hit your head on the head? How dare you ask me who you are? How would I know who you are? Xiaochen curled his lips. Xiaocheng, forget it. Isn't our car fine? Let's go, don't waste time. Su Chuxia saw that Xiaochen was about to get into a fight again and quickly tried to stop him. She was not afraid that Xiaochen would be at a disadvantage. She was afraid that the big man would be beaten to death by Xiaochen. Xiaochen dared to kick someone from the top of a building, and he dared to throw someone off a moving bus. He did it in a way that completely disregarded the consequences. If something really happened here, would she still want to go up the mountain? Oh, if that's the case, then forget it. I'll let you go. Xiaochen looked at the bald man with some mockery. You're driving a Land Rover, and yet you're so poor. Did you borrow a car? Wait, kid, don't go. Seeing that Xiaochen wanted to leave, how could the big man agree? He didn't even have a car. Although he was the one who crashed it, he still had to find someone to blame, right? Scram to the side. I'm giving you face, but you don't want it. I don't want to waste time with you. You're so troublesome. With a kick, Xiaochen sent the bald man flying. He landed in the bushes dozens of meters away. The two underlings were dumbfounded. The mistress in the Land Rover also screamed. Is he still human? He's a martial arts master. He sent someone dozens of meters away with one kick. Big brother. The two underlings quickly went to the bushes to look for the bald man. They did not dare to talk to Xiaochen. On Xiaochen's side, he directly brought Tian Suruan and Su Chuxia up the mountain. In the end, they still fought. Su Chuxia sighed. This guy was much more ferocious than Xiao Meng. Xiao Meng was always enduring, but this Xiaocheng was good. He never tolerated. There was still a long way to go from here to Tianqing Monastery. Although it seemed very close from the foot of the mountain, it was actually extremely difficult to walk. Su Chuxia had walked before, so she knew how difficult it was. She gritted her teeth and persevered. However, Tian Suruan could not take it anymore. She hadn't even walked halfway when she started screaming. Why isn't there a cable car or something? Chuxia, what kind of crappy place did you find? It's not fun at all. I can't take it anymore. 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 Even though Tian Sour was usually lively and active, and she often went to the gym, she only stopped to rest. She really couldn't take it anymore when she had to climb the stairs with real weapons. Suruan, grit your teeth and go up in one go. Look at the others. That fat guy who looks like a fish over there, isn't he climbing up bit by bit? Su Chuxia pointed not far away. A chubby otaku was gritting his teeth and walking up. He was holding a phone in his hand and typing as he walked. F***CK, is this person a web novelist? He's typing while walking. He's really professional. Tian Suruan glanced at him and said dejectedly, Sister Suruan really can't take it anymore. Let's rest for a while. However, Su Chuxia frowned. If she were to rest, the more she rested, the more discouraged she would be. Many people directly went down the mountain after resting halfway. They did not want to go up anymore because they did not want to climb anymore once they got lazy. Suruan, I'll hold you. Su Chuxia said. Okay. Tian Suruan was held by Su Chuxia. She reluctantly continued to climb up. After a few more steps, she finally could not take it anymore. She squatted on the ground and panted heavily. Sister Suruan really can't take it anymore. I'm going to die if I keep climbing. Su Chuxia had no choice but to stop and say, then let's rest for a while. But if we get there too late, we won't be able to see Taoist Luli. We have to do this again tomorrow. No, I won't come again even if you beat me to death. Tian Suruan quickly shook her head. Xiaochen did not mind. This was nothing to him. It was not a problem for him to run a few laps back and forth. If they wanted to rest, they could rest. Xiaochen leaned against the stone steps and looked at the scenery. After resting for a while, Su Chuxia looked at the time and said, Suruan, it's about time. We should go. Huh? So fast? I haven't rested enough. Tian Suruan felt like she had only sat down for a few minutes. Suruan, do your best. You'll make it up. Su Chuxia encouraged her. I really can't. Tian Suruan said weakly. Xiaochang, why don't you stay here with her? I'll go up myself. Su Chuxia hesitated and said. Then I'll go up with you. Suruan can stay here by herself. Xiaochen naturally could not leave Su Chuxia behind. Su Chuxia was the target that he wanted to protect. I'm afraid that the group of people from before will harm Suruan if they see her here. If you stay here and intercept them, I won't be in any danger if I go up. Su Chuxia voiced her thoughts. Sai, why don't we do this? Xiaochang, come over and squat down. Sister Suruan will let you take advantage of her. You can carry Sister Suruan up. Tian Suruan saw that Xiaochen's face was not red and his heart was not beating fast, so she thought of a good idea. Me? Xiaochen pointed at himself and smiled bitterly. It's not easy to take advantage of me, right? I'm done. You can't rely on me. I'm here to chase after Su Chuxia. I can't. Chuxia and I are good sisters. Why would I cheat you? Tian Suruan said, I'm dying of exhaustion. I don't want to stay here alone. You can carry her. You can chase after Chuxia, and you can still get intimate with Sister Suruan. It's quite satisfying. Xiaochen looked at Su Chuxia to see what she had to say. After all, she knew that he was protecting her. Then. Xiaochang, you carry her. Suruan, behave yourself. Don't move around. After Su Chuxia finished speaking, she looked at Xiaochen and said, behave yourself too. Don't try to take advantage of her. Xiaochen squatted down, and Tian Suruan laid limply on his body. She did not move at all. Clearly, she was too tired. Resting for a while was completely useless. Tian Suruan's body was very light. When Xiaochen stood up, he did not feel much weight at all. However, when Xiaochen's hand touched the black stockings under her miniskirt, he did not know why, but he thought of the scene he saw through the binoculars last night. It made Xiaochen's imagination run wild. Xiaochen gritted his teeth and threw these messy thoughts to the back of his mind. Then, he said, let's go up the mountain. Su Chuxia looked at Xiaochen and Tian Suruan, then walked up the mountain. What Xiaochen did not expect was that Su Chuxia's endurance was so amazing. She walked up the mountain in one breath. It was hard to imagine that this girl had such great perseverance. Tian Suruan lay on Xiaochen's body and did not move at all. Although her chest was pressed against Xiaochen's back, if she did not move, it was difficult for Xiaochen to feel anything. Of course, Xiaochen did not deliberately think of any dirty things. They arrived at the entrance of Tianqing Temple. Xiaochen said, Suruan, we're here. However, there was no movement behind him. Xiaochen looked back and realized that Tian Suruan had fallen asleep on his shoulder. This made Xiaochen a little dumbfounded. He quickly reached out and pushed her. Hey, Suruan. Su Chuxia was also a little surprised. She did not expect Tian Suruan to fall asleep. This wretched girl, Suruan, wake up, it's time for a feast. Ah, feast? Where is it? Tian Suruan opened her eyes immediately and looked around in confusion. The feast is in your dreams. Su Chuxia said angrily. We're already here, and you actually fell asleep. Hurry up and get up. Ah, we're here. Tian Suruan jumped down from Xiao Chen's body. However, she did not tell Xiao Chen beforehand. Xiao Chen was still holding onto her legs. As she jumped down, Xiao Chen's hands accidentally poked under Tian Suruan's skirt. Chapter 546. Ah! Tian Sour screamed. She felt as if she had been poked by something. It was so painful that tears almost flowed down her face. It hurts. It hurts so much. It hurts so much, Sister Sour. Xiao Chen was instantly very embarrassed. He did not expect such an accident to happen. He also felt as if he had poked something wrong. He immediately let go of his hands, and Tian Sour immediately squatted on the ground. From the corner of his eye, he saw that there was blood on the tip of his finger. Xiao Chen was shocked. Why was there blood? Su Chuxia's eyes were sharp. She suddenly saw Xiao Chen's bloody finger. Her expression suddenly changed, and she looked at Tian Sour. Sour, you're hurt? Hurt? Tian Sour felt as if she had been poked by Xiao Chen, but she did not think too much about it. After hearing Su Chuxia's words, she subconsciously raised her head and saw Xiao Chen's bloody finger. Tian Sour's expression suddenly changed. She thought of something and immediately reached under her skirt to touch it. What she saw was a smear of red. Hence, Tian Sour was dumbfounded. She stared blankly at the blood on her hand, not knowing what to do. Su Chuxia was also scared out of her wits. Sour, what happened to you? I think I've been poked. Tian Sour's expression was very ugly. She spoke with a sobbing tone. Xiao Chang seems to have poked in, ah? Su Chuxia was slightly stunned, but she immediately understood what Tian Sour meant. Her expression also became very ugly. It couldn't be. How could something like this happen? Although in many cases, some girls who like to exercise might tear it, it was a different concept from being poked by someone's hand. However, Su Chuxia could not blame Xiao Chen for this. She frowned and did not know what to say. Xiao Chen was also a little dumbfounded. From Tian Sour's words and the current situation, he seemed to have done something irreparable. It was an inexplicable accident, and he was even implicated. However, at this time, Xiao Chen really didn't know what to say. This matter couldn't be blamed on him, but if he said that he wasn't responsible, then he would be evading responsibility. He wasn't that kind of person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have accepted Lu Shuangshuang. Therefore, at this time, Xiao Chen could only stay silent and look at Tian Saorang awkwardly. Chuxia, help me to the washroom. Tian Suruan quickly said to Su Chuxia when he saw that there was a washroom not far away. Oh, okay. Su Chuxia quickly helped Tian Suruan up and limped to the washroom nearby. As Xiao Chen watched the two of them disappear, he couldn't help but sigh. Accidents always appeared suddenly, but they couldn't be avoided. Tian Suruan entered the washroom and hurriedly entered the cubicle. Su Chuxia anxiously walked around outside. She wanted to follow in, but the cubicle was too small. After Tian Suruan squatted down, there was no space. After waiting for a while, Tian Suruan didn't move. Su Chuxia quickly asked, Suruan, how is it? I'm fine. It's just a little hard to observe. Luckily, Sister Suruan put a mask on her phone. Tian Suruan said. What's the result? Su Chuxia asked, how is it? Xiao Cheng really? No, I'm on my period. Tian Souring chuckled and became happy all of a sudden. Gosh. You scared me to death. Su Chuxia slapped her forehead and was a little speechless. Then, you're fine. But it still hurts after being poked by him. So, Sister Suruan decided not to let him go so easily. Tian Suruan said, when we go out later, let's tell him that I was exposed by him. Then, let him compensate me. Ah. Su Chuxia was stunned and immediately said, but this isn't very good, right? Aya, what's not good about it? No matter what, Sister Suruan was poked by him. Although it didn't break, it still hurts. Tian Suruan shook her head and said, moreover, I was touched. Then. You should know when to stop. Don't go too far. Su Chuxia thought about it and nodded. Anyway, Xiao Chen's pursuit of her was fake. She was forced to agree to his request to protect her. Now, it was normal for her to play a little trick on him. And, then you have to cooperate with me. Tian Suruan said with a smile. Okay. Su Chuxia replied. How do I cooperate? Help me out. Tian Suruan said as she leaned on Su Chuxia's body. The two of them walked out of the bathroom together. However, in an instant, Tian Suruan became limping. There was a look of pain on her face. In fact, it was really a little painful because her stomach hurt. Su Chuxia glanced at Tian Suruan beside her and smiled bitterly in her heart. She was really good at pretending. This time, Xiao Chang was unlucky and had to take full responsibility. Xiao Chen was actually not at ease outside. He kept thinking about Tian Suruan inside. It wasn't a big deal that she was exposed. The most important thing was that Xiao Chen was afraid that it would cause a problem. After all, that 1-inch force might cause a lot of bleeding. That wouldn't be good. Suruan, how are you? When Xiao Chen saw them coming out, he quickly greeted them. However, when he saw Tian Suruan limping, his heart sank. Is it that serious? Xiao Chang. What do you think we should do? Sister Suruan was exposed by you. This time, it's over. How can I find a boyfriend in the future? Tian Suruan limped in front of Xiao Chen and asked sternly. This. After Xiao Chen heard this, he also had a headache. This matter was really difficult to distinguish between right and wrong. To be honest, Tian Suruan accidentally jumped down and then she broke it herself. However, he couldn't say that. If he said that, wouldn't he be looking for trouble? Therefore, Xiao Chen could only bite the bullet and say, Suruan, what do you think we should do? Sister Suruan won't let you take responsibility. If I let you take responsibility, you will definitely not be convinced because your goal is Su Chuxia. I'm not that bad to force you to change your goal. Besides, Sister Suruan really doesn't like you. Although you have some money, you are far from Sister Suruan's expectations. When Tian Suruan said this, she paused and then continued, however, I can't just let it go. After all, you made me like this. Who knows, it might affect me finding a boyfriend in the future. And then? When Xiao Chen heard Tian Suruan's words, he thought that she was going to let it go. However, he didn't expect her words to change. It wasn't the case at all. Before Sister Suruan finds a boyfriend, you have to do it for me. Tian Suruan said. Do it for me? Xiao Chen's expression was a little strange. What do you mean? Flirting? Get lost. Tian Suruan said angrily, it means that you have to take care of me like my boyfriend. You have to grant my requests. You have to do whatever I say. Whatever I want, you have to try your best to satisfy it. Do you hear me? However, don't think that you can take advantage of me like this. No way. So, you want me to be your servant? Xiao Chen shook his head, but in his heart, he thought about the young mistress. He wondered if she was doing well. Without him around, what were they eating every day? There was also Jean Bebe, Yi Xiaoya, the spiritual herbs in the villa's yard, and that weird dog. What? You've already made Sister Suruan like this. Sister Suruan didn't ask you to take responsibility, but you still don't want to? Tian Suruan glared at Xiao Chen. All right. Xiao Chen nodded. Actually, it didn't matter whether he agreed or not. He was doing the same thing now. In order to pursue Su Chuxia, he had to pretend to please Tian Suruan. Then it's settled, Tian Suruan said. Now, what are we going to do? I want to find Taoist Luli to ask for medicine. Why don't we go and ask for medicine first? Su Chuxia looked at the time on her watch. If she didn't hurry up, she would have wasted her trip today. I have no objections. What about you, Suruan? Xiao Chen looked at Tian Suruan. Then let's go. Tian Suruan was just about to leave when she remembered that she was pretending to be a cripple. Therefore, she said, Xiao Chang, continue to carry me. I can't walk. Actually, her stomach was hurting. Her period was here, and she was exhausted from climbing the mountain, so it hurt even more. Anyway, now that she had Xiao Chang as a laborer, she naturally didn't want to walk anymore. All right. Xiao Chen squatted down, and Tian Suruan laid on top of him again. Su Chuxia shook her head and walked in front. The three of them arrived at the entrance of the Taoist temple. At this time, there were already many people lining up. Xiao Chen didn't expect a Taoist temple to have so many people. The Heavenly Purity Temple was incomparably majestic. The high walls at the entrance pierced through the clouds. It had the charm of the celestial Taoist temples in the TV series Journey to the West. Right in front of the Heavenly Purity Temple was a large pool called the Body Purification Pool. Xiao Chen took a look. The so-called Body Purification Pool was just a place where people took out their money and threw it into a box beside the large pool to wash away the smell of money on their bodies. Therefore, the smell of money would run into the pockets of the Taoist temple. Xiao Chen didn't think much of this way of earning money. However, Su Chuxia was very sincere. She put 300 yuan into the box. It wasn't much, but it wasn't little either. Some people even put in tens of thousands. Tian Suruan looked at the money and felt a little heartache. 300 yuan. We can eat a buffet hot pot. What a pity. Su Chuxia frowned and glared at her. Why do you only know how to eat? Why don't you eat until you die? Sigh. Tian Suruan looked at the 300 yuan reluctantly. Xiao Chang, I want that 300 yuan. Oh. Xiao Chen casually waved his hand and set up an illusion. The 300 yuan was in his hand, and no one noticed anything. Xiao Chen casually stuffed the 300 yuan into Tian Suruan's hand. Tian Suruan was shocked when she felt Xiao Chen touch her hand. She thought that Xiao Chen wanted to take advantage of her, but she realized that something was stuffed into her hand. Tian Suruan was stunned. She raised her hand and saw that it was 300 yuan. Chapter 547. Ah. Tian Wangshuo was stunned. She looked at the box again. The 300 yuan that Su Chuxia had just put in was gone. Although there was a lot of money in the box, because Tian Wangshuo's eyes were staring, she remembered the position of the money. However, she didn't see what Xiao Chen did. In the blink of an eye, the 300 yuan was in her hands. At this time, Su Chuxia had already walked to the entrance of the Taoist temple. Before Tian Wangshuo could see clearly, she was carried away by Xiao Chen. Xiao Chang, how did you get it back? Tian Wangshuo reacted and asked quickly. Shoo. Don't let Chuxia hear you, Xiao Chen said. Su Chuxia was so devoted to this Taoist temple. If she knew that the money that she put in was taken out by him, wouldn't she fly into a rage? Tian Sour also immediately realized this point and shut her mouth. However, in her heart, she thought to herself, this Xiao Chang really agrees to all requests. My decision is really wise. It feels so good to have such a person at my beck and call. Sister Sour is so smart. When they arrived at the entrance of the Taoist temple, they were stopped. Not everyone could enter the Taoist temple. There was a young Taoist priest at the entrance who was screening people to enter the Taoist temple. And his screening method was also very special. Light incense. All the tourists who wanted to enter the Taoist temple formed a long line. In front of the line was an incense burner. Next to the incense burner stood a young Taoist priest supervising the screening. Every tourist had a chance to light incense. Everyone had a match. The match was very short, only half a normal match. Everyone came up to light the incense in the incense burner. Those who lit it could enter the Taoist temple. Those who didn't light it could only leave or line up again from the back. However, there were at least 100 people in this line. Just the line alone took a while. In front of them, a bald man was lighting incense. The incense was very thick. Not to mention half a match, even 8 or 10 matches might not be able to light it. The man obviously failed to light the incense. This thing is clearly making things difficult for people. How can half a match light it? This incense is so thick. Aren't you tricking people? We donated money to the cleansing pool, but we still have to light incense. The bald man's match was about to burn his hand, but he still couldn't light it. He couldn't help but complain. Amateus Buddha, don't you see that someone has also entered the Taoist temple? The little Taoist faintly smiled and said, lighting incense is all about luck. It doesn't mean that it can't be lit. Even though the match is short, if many people light it, the residual heat on the incense won't dissipate. Naturally, it can be lit. Forget it, I'll line up again, the bald man said, a little depressed. Of course you can. Benefactor, please go to the body cleansing pool first and queue up again. After saying that, another young Taoist left with the bald man. This is really a scam? If I can't light it up, I'll have to line up again and donate money? Tian Soran said unhappily, Chusha, did you meet a scammer? This Taoist temple looks like a place to cheat people of their money. Soran, don't talk nonsense. In fact, this is also a last resort. Otherwise, with so many people coming every day, if they could all enter the Taoist temple, it wouldn't be able to accommodate all of them, right? Su Chusha said. Okay, but I think it's as difficult as going to heaven to light the incense. It's like a lucky draw. There are hundreds of people, and there's only 1 or 2. Tian Soran said gloomily, if we can't light it up, do we have to line up again? Of course. Su Chusha said. The long line in front of the line shortened bit by bit. Most people failed and left or tried again. However, there were 2 people who successfully lit the incense and successfully entered the Taoist temple. Every person who lit the incense could bring 2 friends with them. One of the successful people only had 1 friend, and the other spot was brought in by someone nearby. She didn't know what conditions he promised, but he was very happy. There were fewer and fewer people in front of the line. Finally, it was Su Chusha's turn. Before this, many people had failed to light the incense. Su Chusha roughly estimated that she really had a chance. If she was lucky, she might succeed on her first try. However, to her surprise, just as it was about to be her turn, the customer in front of her actually lit the incense successfully and successfully entered the Taoist temple with his friend. When it was Su Chusha's turn, she actually got a new incense. If she wanted to light it, it was basically impossible. Su Chusha suddenly felt very depressed. She took the match from the young Taoist and sighed. Let me do it. Xiao Chen knew that it was impossible for Su Chusha to light the incense. However, she wouldn't give up, so the end result was that a few people would have to donate money and line up again. Xiao Chen naturally wouldn't waste such meaningless time, so he directly snatched the match from Su Chusha's hand. This made Su Chusha a little surprised, but she didn't say anything. She also wouldn't blame Xiao Chen for trying to show off. Because if Xiao Chen lit the incense, the result would be the same. It would be impossible to light the incense. Therefore, she let Xiao Chen do it. Xiao Chen took the match, lit it directly, and then went to light the incense. However, the flame on the match looked ordinary, but Xiao Chen used a little samadhi true fire to light it. The result was as expected. The incense was quickly lit, and green smoke came out. At this time, Xiao Chen's match was almost burnt to the end, so Xiao Chen threw it away. However, this situation made the people around a little dumbfounded. The young Taoist was very puzzled. How did a match light the incense that was just changed? This was something that had never happened before. How was it possible? However, the truth was in front of him, and he had no choice but to believe it. After all, the incense really burned. The other tourists at the back were also amazed. They felt that when Xiao Chen was lighting the incense, a gust of wind blew and helped him light the incense. But no matter what, Xiao Chen was lucky, and many people were envious. Su Chuxia looked at everything in front of her in shock. That was it? She was already prepared to leave and start all over again. Xiao Cheng, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. Sister Sour realized that you kind of meet Sister Sour's criteria for choosing a partner, but you're a little too poor. You still have to work hard. Tian Sour said with a smile. 3 kind people, please come in. Although the young Taoist was puzzled, he still followed the rules and invited Xiao Chen and the other 2 into the Taoist temple. As soon as they entered the Taoist temple, the smell of nature hit them in the face, making them feel refreshed. Tian Sour was a little surprised. Chuxia, you don't say. This Taoist temple is really something. Of course. As I said, Taoist priest Lu Li's immortal water is very useful. Su Chuxia nodded. The Taoist temple was refreshing and pleasant. There was no winter chill. The wind blew on their faces, and it felt like spring and autumn. The Taoist temple was decorated elegantly. The path was quiet, and there were pavilions and ancient trees. The scenery was beautiful, as if they were in a painting. They walked forward and passed through a long corridor. There was another door in front of them, and there were 2 young Taoist priests guarding the door. When they arrived here, Xiao Chen and the others were also stopped. Why is there a sentry? Xiao Chen was a little puzzled. Why was it more difficult to enter a Taoist temple than Su Chuxia's father's research institute? There was a sentry every few steps. Were they letting people in or not? There was a picture scroll at the door. On it were some crooked and irregular colored patterns. He didn't know what they were, but the young Taoist priest said, 3 kind people, tell me what you see in this picture scroll. If you're right, you can enter. What? Xiao Chen was stunned. Was this a guessing game? Did they think this was a variety show? Xiao Chen was a little depressed. Tian Wangshou looked at Su Chuxia strangely. Chuxia, was it like this when you came last time? Yes, but the test is different every year. Only this year's test seems to be especially difficult. Su Chuxia was also a little troubled. What was in this picture? She couldn't tell. Tian Wangshou didn't dare to be slow. Since they were already here, she obviously wouldn't be willing to go back. Therefore, she jumped down from Xiao Chen's body and began to carefully observe the picture. After observing for a long time, she couldn't see anything special about it. She made a random guess. I think this is an abstract painting. It was painted by Taoist priest Lu Li, right? This painting depicts Taoist priest Lu Li's inner world. That's not right. Tian Wangshou's eloquence was only met with a heartless rejection from the young Taoist priest. He shook his head expressionlessly and said, what about you guys? Time is limited. Answer as soon as possible. Su Chuxia pondered for a long time and then said carefully, I think the colorful and various colors in the painting represent the boundless world. Actually, Su Chuxia had no other choice. Tian Wangshou's word, world, reminded her, so Su Chuxia had an idea. However, she felt that what she said was somewhat reliable. No. The young Taoist priest shook his head and denied Su Chuxia's words. Su Chuxia's face turned pale and she sighed. Where is this kind person? The young Taoist priest looked at Xiao Chen and said, it's time. Although Xiao Chen was a cultivator, this thing had nothing to do with cultivators. It was not something that could be solved with special abilities. How would Xiao Chen know what this painting was? He knew nothing about painting, so he couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense at this moment. He just braced himself and said, "Forgive me for being blunt, but I can't see anything. This is just a messy, colorful graffiti." "Yes, this kind person is an honest person. Please enter." The young Taoist priest nodded and then made a gesture to invite him in. Huh? Tian Wangshuo stared at Xiao Chen strangely. This was right again? How could this work? There's nothing at all. Why are you making us guess? Even if Su Chuxia was qualified to enter, she was still a little dissatisfied. This kind woman, the first threshold of heavenly purity temple is to purify the body and remove the stink of money from the body. The second threshold is to purify the heart. Only honest people can enter. The little Taoist explained, what this kind person said is right. There's nothing in this painting. It's just a random drawing. To be honest, we can't see anything. If we insist on spouting nonsense just to enter the door, then we're just lying. Chapter 548. Su Chuxia was speechless, and so was Tian Suruan. Xiao Chen opened his mouth but didn't say anything. This was simply amazing. "All right, the three of you may enter," said the little Taoist. Su Chuxia didn't continue to struggle. After all, she had to seize the time to meet Taoist Lu Li and ask him for medicine. "Sister Suruan, why do I feel like I'm in a TV challenge program?" Tian Suruan looked around the temple curiously. "You're jumping around. Are you all right?" Xiao Chen looked at Tian Suruan, who was wandering around, and asked in surprise. "Ah, it hurts again." Tian Suruan suddenly staggered. "All right, Suruan. Stop pretending. It doesn't hurt that much. It's fine." Su Chuxia said, "Let's hurry up and pass the challenge. There's still one more challenge ahead, and it's the most difficult one." "Okay." Tian Suruan didn't dare to delay. She immediately straightened her body and walked forward quickly. Xiao Chen looked at Tian Suruan strangely. "She's done? I don't need to carry her anymore?" However, thinking about it, he also carried her for a while. It was normal that she was fine now. After all, it didn't seem that serious. At most, he poked her on the outside and tore it a little. There was another door in front, and there were still a few young Taoists standing guard. Xiao Chen was already used to it this time. He glanced at the young Taoist, then said, "What's the test this time?" "Hee, kind people, it's not easy for all of you to come all the way here. This time, it's to verify your fate with my Clear Sky Monastery." The little Taoist smiled faintly and said, "Three kind people, please follow me." Xiao Chen nodded and didn't say much. He followed the little Taoist with Su Chuxia and Tian Suruan to a small pavilion at the side. On the other side of the pavilion, there was an exhibition wall. It was like the publicity corridor in the school, protected by a glass cover. When they got closer, there were some charms inside. "Three kind people, please take a look. There are real and fake amulets in these amulets. The three of you just need to find 2 real amulets and you can pass." The little Taoist said, "Then, I can bring you to see my master, spiritual master Lu Li. How should I look at this?" "We don't understand." Tian Soran looked at the scribbled talismans in front of him and immediately felt a headache coming on. He didn't understand these things, nor had he studied them before. Of course, even those who had studied them might not know. This was because there were several talismans with the same pattern, and they looked almost the same on the outside. It was difficult to tell if they were real or fake. This talisman, what is real and what is fake? Su Chuxia was also confused. From her point of view, the things inside were pretty much the same. There was no difference. If it's real, then it naturally has the effect of magic power. If it's fake, then it naturally doesn't. The little Taoist explained, "Only the little Taoist's advisor can draw talismans. The others are all our imitation works. It's just that they don't have any effect." "What's the use of this talisman?" Tian Wangshuan was a little puzzled. These pieces of paper actually had the effect of magic power? Was it real or fake? This talisman is a soul-cleansing talisman. When you use it when you're drowsy, it can instantly make you full of energy. However, the time it can be used is limited. It can only be used for a quarter of an hour, the little Taoist explained. Is it real or fake? What about this? Tian Wangchuan pointed at another talisman and asked. This talisman is a fire ignition talisman. After using it, it can achieve the effect of igniting a fire, the little Taoist explained. I'm going to faint. Sister Soran thought it was some high-end item. I can use coffee to replace the first talisman. For the second talisman, I can use a lighter. I can even use it multiple times. Good woman, you might not know this, but coffee is a liquid and can't be brought on the plane. A lighter is a dangerous item and can't be brought on the plane either. However, these two talismans can be used. The little Taoist said, you said that it's useless. Actually, it's very useful in certain situations, isn't it? That's true. Tian Wangchuan nodded after listening. Alright, good woman, since you know the use of these talismans, then quickly identify them, the little Taoist reminded. This. Su Chuxia was a little hesitant. She didn't dare to simply identify it. Tian Wangchuan pointed at a talisman and said, this is real, right? I'm sorry, good woman. This is fake. You only have 2 more chances, the little Taoist said. Hey. I didn't ask you. I was really talking to Xiao Chang. I was asking my companion. How can you say that I'm wasting a chance? Tian Wangchuan immediately said when he saw that he had admitted his mistake. Of course, it's a chance. The little Taoist didn't explain much. He just smiled and didn't give any room for negotiation. Alright, let me take a look. Xiao Chen waved his hand and signaled Su Chuxia and Tian Wangchuan not to say anything. He wanted to let him make the decision. Although Su Chuxia didn't know where Xiao Chen got his confidence from, Xiao Chen had passed the previous few rounds. Therefore, since Xiao Chen wanted to try this round, she naturally let him do it. Elder Heaven Ancestor, didn't you say that cultivators can create talismans? Is it similar to this? Xiao Chen asked in his heart. That's definitely different, the Elder Heaven Ancestor said. Huh? Xiao Chen was stunned. I thought you could identify them, these are all trash. What's there to identify? In my opinion, they're all trash. The Elder Heaven Ancestor said disdainfully, what kind of trash is this? You want to stay awake for 15 minutes and light a fire? What's the point of creating these things? Are you crazy? There are so many substitutes. Why do you still need to create talismans? You mean you know these talismans? Xiao Chen was shocked and then heaved a sigh of relief. Yes, the first row and the third one are real. The second row and the fifth one are real. I can't be bothered to look at the rest, the Elder Heaven Ancestor said directly. Then I'll choose 2 randomly. As Xiao Chen said this, he raised his hand and tapped the 2 talismans that the Elder Heaven Ancestor mentioned twice. Huh? The young Taoist was very surprised. This year, because Taoist Luli was gathering investments everywhere, he rarely stayed in the temple. Therefore, in order to keep most people outside, he set up these very difficult tests. It was still possible to pass the first and second tests, but it was very rare to pass the third test. After all, it was difficult for laymen to identify these talismans. It was possible to guess correctly for 1, but it was impossible to guess correctly for 2. Xiao Chen looked at the stunned young Taoist and gently coughed twice to remind him, this Taoist. Am I right? You're right. The young Taoist came back to his senses and nodded. This poor Taoist's Dharma name is Mo Ri. 3 kind people, please follow me to meet my master, Taoist Luli. Doomsday. Your Dharma name is really unique. Xiao Chen said in surprise. Taoist 2012, how many people can see Taoist Luli? This poor Taoist's name is Mo Ri, not 2012. The young Taoist was a little puzzled. This month, you're the first to see Taoist Luli. Oh, isn't the doomsday 2012? Xiao Chen laughed dryly. I just said it casually, sorry. Alright, 3 kind people, please. The young Taoist made an inviting gesture. The Dharma name is just a title. Kind people can call themselves whatever they want, there's no need to be restricted. The 3 of them entered the last door. It was a very spacious courtyard, and there was a very grand hall in front of them. Under the guidance of the young Taoist, the 3 of them entered the hall. As they walked to the back, they saw an old man with white hair and a youthful face already sitting there waiting. Presumably, he was Taoist Luli. This Taoist Luli has a sage-like demeanor, Tian Wangshou said when he saw the old Taoist in front of him. Wangshou, he's not Taoist Luli, Su Chuxia quickly said. Ba. However, the old Taoist said loudly, this poor Taoist is not Taoist Luli. This poor Taoist is Taoist Luli's disciple, Moj. Pfft. Tian Wangshou almost burst out laughing. He's called Doomsday, and you're called Moj. This name of yours is really awesome. The master who can come up with this name is not an ordinary person. How many brain cells must have been wasted to come up with this? Wangshou, don't talk nonsense. Su Chuxia glared at Tian Wangshou. It's okay. The old Taoist smiled like the young Taoist. It's just a title. 3 kind people, please come this way. Under the guidance of Taoist Moj, the 3 of them walked into a small room at the side. Inside, on a cattail hassock, sat a person who looked like he was only in his 20s. 3 kind people, this is my master, Taoist Luli. Taoist Moj said. Xiao Chen and Tian Wangshou were stunned. Wasn't this a little too young? This person looked like he was only in his 20s. How was he Taoist Luli? Or was he the old Taoist's master? However, Su Chuxia had obviously seen Taoist Luli before, so there was nothing strange about it this time. She just walked forward and said respectfully, Taoist Luli, I remember you. You came here last year for the immortal water, right? To treat your grandmother's rheumatism. Taoist Luli opened his eyes and looked at Su Chuxia. Yes, Taoist Luli. Su Chuxia was a little happy. She did not expect Taoist Luli to recognize her immediately and remember her. This surprised her. Okay, Moj, go and get the immortal water, Taoist Luli instructed the old Taoist. Yes, master. The old Taoist turned and left. Soon, he returned with a small bottle in his hand, which he handed to Taoist Luli. Taoist Luli nodded, then made a few hand seals in front of the bottle. Finally, he handed it to Su Chuxia and said, it's done. When you go back, just rub it on the affected area. Thank you, Taoist Luli. Su Chuxia quickly thanked him in surprise. Well, the other 2 kind people, why did you come to see me? Taoist Luli smiled at Xiao Chen and Tian Wangshou. Is there any immortal water that can make Sister Wangshou more beautiful, sexier, and more charming? Tian Wangshou asked. Chapter 549. You're already very beautiful, sexy, and charming. You don't need the immortal water. Taoist Luli smiled. Spiritual Master Luli, can you give me some paper and cinnabar for drawing talismans? Xiao Chen asked. This was what the elder heaven ancestor had told him before. He asked him to bring some back to experiment with talisman making. Although talisman making should be something that could only be done after one reached the foundation establishment realm, it did not include these simple talismans. Therefore, he planned to let Xiao Chen go back and practice first. Oh. Spiritual Master Luli looked at Xiao Chen with some confusion. What do you want this for? Oh, the house I live in is haunted. I followed the instructions of the online professor and drew a few talismans to ward off evil spirits, Xiao Chen said casually. Of course you can, but most of the talismans on the internet are useless, Taoist Luli said. Of course, if you insist, I can give you emoji. Yes, master. Emoji nodded and turned to get these things. Soon, he returned with some paper for drawing talismans and some cinnabar. He handed them to Xiao Chen and said, "Good person, here they are." "Thank you." Xiao Chen put these things away. Tian Wangshou did not know what she wanted. After thinking about it, she said, "That immortal water, give me another portion." She did not need these things herself, so she might as well help Su Chuxia get another portion. That way, Su Chuxia would not have to come back for more after using it. "Do you want to keep it for next year?" Taoist Luli asked. "Yes." Tian Wangshou nodded. "It's too difficult to get in here. If it weren't for our luck, we wouldn't have been able to get in at all. Therefore, since we can come this time, we'll get it for next year as well." "That's a little difficult. This immortal water can only be kept for half a year." Taoist Luli said, "However, I can seal it with wax. After you go back, you can put it in the freezer. It can be used for a year, but I can't guarantee it." "That's fine." Tian Wangshou nodded. "Thank you very much." Taoist Luli nodded and asked Emoji to prepare it. After Emoji was done, Taoist Luli also imprinted his handprint on it. Then, he asked someone to seal it with wax and gave it to Tian Souring. "Elder Heaven Ancestor, what is that handprint?" Xiao Chen asked. "Why is it so strange?" "Hand seals are also a type of magic," the Elder Heaven Ancestor said. "But it's a bit complicated. It involves some spell formations, which I don't really understand. But I can understand the simple stuff." "Oh. It turns out to be an array formation. Then what does the handprint of Taoist Luli mean?" Xiao Chen nodded and asked. "That handprint is actually a kind of handprint that maximizes the effect of the bottle of medicinal liquid." The Elder Heaven Ancestor said, "That immortal water is actually a bottle of medicine for bruises. It is effective for bruises and rheumatism. But normally, because this kind of medicine is applied externally, the effect is not very obvious. After all, it needs to penetrate the skin. But his handprint can maximize the activation of the medicinal liquid. Then, it can be applied to the body to exert a better effect. There's nothing magical about it." The words of the Elder Heaven Ancestor surprised Xiao Chen. He was not shocked that Taoist Luli used the bruises and injuries medicine to imitate the immortal water, but is this Taoist Luli also a cultivator? Otherwise, how could he have these things? He drew talismans and made handprints. Elder Heaven Ancestor, is this Taoist Luli a cultivator? Xiao Chen was a little surprised. "You can say yes, but you can also say no." The Elder Heaven Ancestor said, "Taoist cultivation is actually cultivation. It's just that in recent years, it has declined. I haven't heard of any Taoist school that has truly succeeded in cultivation. However, the remnants of them can't be underestimated. After all, the foundation is there. It's just that many people don't know how to cultivate. After all, there are only mental cultivation methods without guidance. It's very likely that blindly cultivating them will cause problems." The Elder Heaven Ancestor said, "For example, some mental cultivation methods are obviously very powerful, but when cultivated by people who don't understand them, they become trash. There are also some mental cultivation methods that are obviously awe-inspiring, but people cultivate them into evil mental cultivation methods. There are also mental cultivation methods that are obviously righteous, but some people cultivate them in the opposite direction." Pfft. Xiao Chen was a little depressed. Why did they talk about him? Now that Su Chuxia's original intention had been achieved, she was ready to leave. However, to her surprise, Taoist Luli stood up and said to the crowd, "This kind man, I see that you have some knowledge about talisman drawing, so I want to discuss it with you. What do you think?" "Discuss? Discuss my A**s? Are you suspecting me?" Xiao Chen sneered in his heart. Just now, he saw Mo Ri give Taoist Luli a look. Although he didn't know what it meant, he could roughly guess it. Mo Ri was probably telling Daoist Luli that he had quickly identified the two real talismans. Then, seeing that he had asked for talisman paper and cinnabar, he was curious and wanted to ask him to stay to find out what was going on. It's getting late. We still have to go back. The journey is long, and we have to travel through the night. If we delay any longer, we won't be able to go back. Xiao Chen smiled and said, "Thank you, perfected Luli, for your kindness. Isn't the good woman's home in Lan City? Why do we have to travel through the night?" Daoist Luli asked curiously. Xiao Chen turned to look at Su Chuxia in confusion. "I said it last year." Su Chuxia was a little embarrassed, but she said to Xiao Chen, "Xiao Chang, since perfected Luli has invited you, you can stay here." As she said that, Su Chuxia winked at Xiao Chen, implying that he should build a good relationship with perfected Luli. Next time, he could directly come in and there would be no need to challenge the barrier. "Okay, then I'll sit for a while." Xiao Chen said shamelessly, "I suddenly remembered that we drove here." "Yes." Perfected Luli smiled. "Amateus Buddha, the good man, please take a seat. Mo Ri, Mo Ji, bring the two good women to visit the Taoist temple." "Yes, master." Mo Ri and Mo Ji answered, then said to Su Chuxia and Tian Wangchuan, "Good people, please follow me." Su Chuxia pulled Tian Suruan along and left with Mo Ri and the rest. Xiao Chen, on the other hand, sat opposite perfected dearly. He didn't say a word, and neither did Xiao Chen. They sat leisurely, and no one knew what they were thinking. "What's the good man's name?" Perfected Luli asked. "The name is just a title. It doesn't matter. You can call me the good man." Xiao Chen directly returned the words of perfected Luli's disciple to perfected Luli. Perfected Luli was stunned, but he could not refute it. He could only smile. The good man is right. I wonder what's the relationship between the good man and the two good women. Why don't you guess? Xiao Chen smiled. "I can't guess." Perfected Luli shook his head. "Then congratulations, you failed to pass the barrier." Xiao Chen said, "If you can't guess, you can't continue chatting with me." Haha. Perfected Luli suddenly laughed. "You're mocking the rules of my Taoist temple, aren't you? Since you already know, why did you ask?" Xiao Chen smiled. "You're really shameless. Otherwise, my master is in seclusion all year round. The entire Taoist temple is basically run by me." Perfected Luli said, "Good man, you should have seen that the Tianqing temple is grand on the surface, but in fact, it is dilapidated and decayed on the inside. Many buildings need to be repaired, otherwise, there will be danger. However, the incense money near the door is nothing at all. You're so magical. So many people are begging you to treat them. Why don't you charge more? 10,000 for each person at the door is enough for you to build another Taoist temple." Xiao Chen said. "If I really charge that much money, they might not come." Perfected Luli smiled. "My potions here are magical, but they aren't that valuable. If it's really that expensive, I'm afraid most people won't come. Only a few rich people will come. So, I've been running around to attract investments." "It seems that you're not stupid." Xiao Chen said, "All right, don't beat around the bush. Old Taoist, why are you looking for me?" "Good man, I think the relationship between you and the two good women is a bit strange. Between the two of them, who is your girlfriend? Or is it your goal?" asked Daoist Luli. "Why are you so gossipy? Why are you asking about these things?" Xiao Chen was a little puzzled. "Taoist priests can marry, unlike monks." Daoist Luli smiled. "So, it's not a bad idea to ask about it." "I'm not telling you." Xiao Chen said directly, "Is there anything else? If not, I'm leaving." "Hee, good people also know our Taoist magic arts? Do you have research on talisman making?" asked Daoist Luli. "Obviously, you don't want those talisman making things just to ward off evil spirits, right? Otherwise, wouldn't it be better for you to get some peachwood swords? Can we not beat around the bush? Say what you want to say. If there's nothing else, I'm leaving. I still have to pick up girls. Why are you dawdling? Are you playing with me? Are you just trying to get information out of me? Xiao Chen said somewhat impatiently. Good people are really different. Daoist Luli said with a smile, actually, it's nothing. I just want to ask good people, how much do you know about talisman drawing? I know a thing or two. Not much. I'm a beginner, said Xiao Chen. Daoist Luli nodded. Seeing that he couldn't get anything out of him, he gave up and said, in the future, if good people want to find me to study talisman making, you can contact me at any time. My cell phone number is 170x. Xiao Chen was a little speechless. Taoist priests also use cell phones? Monks also use pan ting. Daoist Luli smiled. Noted down. Is there anything else? Asked Xiao Chen. If that good woman wants to go with you, you can also find me. I can open a back door for you, said Daoist Luli. Chapter 550. Alright, if there's nothing else, I'll be leaving. Xiao Chen stood up and turned to leave. Take care, philanthropist. Spiritual Master Luli looked at Xiao Chen's back as he left. His eyes flashed with doubt. Where did this person come from? Su Chuxia didn't have such a person with her. If this person was Su Chuxia's pursuer, why would he accompany her here? Over the past few days, Spiritual Master Luli had studied Su Chuxia's information and realized that she wouldn't hang out with boys. Could he be Su Chuxia's protector? Thinking of this, Spiritual Master Luli felt that things were getting tricky. Xiao Chen was unfathomable. No matter what he asked, he wouldn't be able to answer. After going around in circles, he didn't get any useful information. After Xiao Chen went out, he saw Su Chuxia and Tian Souring wandering around nearby. He waved at them, and the two of them came over. You're done. Let's go then. Sister Souring is starving. I don't have any energy left. Tian Souring walked over and said to Xiao Chen, Xiao Chang, carry me on your back. Sister Souring is hurting again. All right. Xiao Chen didn't refuse. However, this scene was seen by Spiritual Master Luli. He immediately felt relieved. It turned out that this kid was with Tian Souring. That made things easier. Looking at their intimate actions, they should be a couple. Since it had nothing to do with Su Chuxia, it didn't matter. It was fine as long as Xiao Chang didn't ruin their good plans. It was obvious that Xiao Chang had some understanding of Taoism. Xiao Chen carried Tian Souring and left Tianqing Monastery with Su Chuxia. They were about to go down the mountain when Spiritual Master Luli waved his hand. The disciple named Mo Ji immediately came forward. Master, do you have any instructions? Mo Ji asked. Follow these three secretly. It's best to find out what their relationship is, Spiritual Master Luli said. Yes, do I need to follow them and see where they live? Mo Ji nodded and asked. There's no need for that. I've already made preparations. You don't have to follow me. Don't expose yourself. Just take a look around the vicinity of Azure Mountain. Taoist dearly thought for a while and said, that person called Xiao Chang is not simple. I understand, Master. Don't worry. Mo Ji nodded and left quickly. It was already dinner time. The few of them hadn't eaten anything in the afternoon. They had rushed here in fear that they wouldn't make it in time. Now that they were done, Tian Sour was hungry. Chuxia, let's go get something to eat. Sister Sour is starving. Eat, eat, eat. All you know is to eat. Su Chuxia was in a hurry to go home and give the immortal water to Grandma. However, after hearing what Tian Suruan said, she was a little hungry. Xiao Chang, what do you think? Then let's eat before we leave. Xiao Chen looked at the time and said, "An hour and a half won't make a difference. Besides, your grandma's leg doesn't have to be so troublesome. I know a little about medicine. When the time comes, I will go and take a look at her. Maybe it will be better than that Taoist Luli, really?" Su Chuxia was a little surprised. "What do you think?" As Xiao Chen said this, he suddenly frowned and turned around. He saw a figure flash by. That person was very vigilant and fast. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared. Xiao Chen didn't see him clearly. However, this situation shocked him. Could it be that someone wanted to harm Su Chuxia? However, their actions in Azure Mountain were random. Those who wanted to harm Su Chuxia definitely didn't know about it. When they came here, they drove all the way. Xiao Chen never felt anyone following them, so the possibility of someone following them was almost zero. Xiao Chen's six senses were still very sharp. Under his deliberate sensing, no one should be able to escape. Unless this person was very powerful. However, if that was the case, it would be completely useless for him to protect Su Chuxia. If that person came looking for trouble, he probably wouldn't be a match for them. Since he couldn't see anything wrong, Xiao Chen could only give up. Just as he was about to turn around, Su Chuxia said, "Xiao Cheng, what are you looking at?" "Nothing. I'm looking around to see if there's a place to eat nearby." Xiao Chen said. "There is. Sister Saori looked just now. There's a Sky Azure house over there. It's probably related to Sky Azure Temple, right? It should be the food that the Taoists usually eat. Why don't we go there?" Tian Saori pointed not far away and said. "Sure." Xiao Chen didn't mind. Su Chuxia didn't say anything. The three of them walked in that direction. However, before they could take 2 steps, a group of people suddenly walked toward them. Su Chuxia and Tian Saori's faces suddenly changed. Because they knew a few of the people in this group. It was the Baldy and his 2 underlings that they met in the parking lot in the Land Rover. "Hee hee, kid, we meet again. What a coincidence." The Baldy looked at Xiao Chen and sneered sinisterly. The group of people behind him immediately came over and surrounded Xiao Chen and the other 2. "You. What do you want?" Tian Saori was a little afraid. However, she immediately remembered that Xiao Chen could take on a few people at school. These people shouldn't be a problem. Therefore, she regained her confidence. "Hey, Sister Saori, let me tell you. This is my boyfriend, Xiao Cheng. You can tell how strong he is just by hearing his name. You people are nothing to him. If you know what's good for you, hurry up and move aside. Otherwise, you'll be asking for trouble." Although Tian Saori said that, she didn't have much confidence because the number of people today was double that of the day in school. Moreover, these people looked like real gangsters at first glance. Although the people Kai Wuliang found were all martial artists, they didn't look as ferocious as these people. "Ha! So it's a cockroach that can't be killed? That's a good name. But girl, don't joke around. Do you think I'm afraid just because you said some harsh words?" The Baldy sneered and glared at her. "If he was so powerful, would you still need to say such harsh words here? Wouldn't you have made a move long ago? Let's not talk about these useless things. In short, my car is newly bought. If you give me 5 million, I'll forget about this. I'll sell my car to you. If you don't have it, then you'll have to think of a way to pay for my medical expenses." At this moment, before Xiao Chen and Tian Wangshou could say anything, a man wearing a golden chain behind the Baldy, who looked rather imposing, said indifferently, "Baldy, this is the lad? He even sent you flying with a kick. Did you not have breakfast this morning? Why are you forcing them? If you want them to pay, then just beat them up. When the time comes, won't they obediently hand over the money? What's the use of talking big? This. Boss, I was thinking that this is Heavenly Purity Monastery and it's not a good place to fight. If we offend those Taoists, it won't be fun. They are skilled. The Baldy said quickly. If that's the case, kid, do you want to pay or die? Choose one. The man with the golden chain nodded and took out a cigarette. Then, he glanced at Xiao Chen and said, my patience is limited. If you don't want to pay, I can only send you to the hospital. Everyone, listen up. If this kid doesn't make a choice in 3 minutes, then you guys will fight him at the back. Not here. Heavenly Purity Monastery still needs to be avoided. Brother Jean, don't worry. We definitely won't kill him. The Baldy smiled and responded quickly. However, Xiao Chen, who was standing on the side, was obviously a little impatient. Isn't 3 minutes a little long? AI? Brother Jean, he said 3 minutes is too long. The Baldy was suddenly happy. He thought that Xiao Chen was going to give in. Then, you want to pay now? Pay your mother's balls. Are the few of you going on and on about it? If you want to fight, then hurry up. We still have to go eat. Xiao Chen waved his hand and said. Aya, F***ck. This kid is quite arrogant. Brother Jean was also annoyed after hearing it. He just sneered and blew out a smoke ring leisurely. Then, he shouted, go, beat him up. Don't kill him. Wait. Xiao Chen looked at the few people who were about to rush up and suddenly shouted. Haha. Why, kid, are you afraid? Are you going to give in? Brother Jean was suddenly amused. This kid is really interesting. He pretended to be bad *SS before, but when it comes to a real fight, he can't. Oh, you misunderstood. I usually have to pay an appearance fee when I fight. I don't fight for free. If you lose later, you have to pay me. Xiao Chen really wasn't talking nonsense. Whether it was underground boxing or racing, he got a lot of appearance fees. Brother Jean was stunned, and then his face changed. He spat out the cigarette and scolded, I changed my mind. Beat him to death. Yes. Hee. The Baldy accepted the order and waved his hand. The few fellows behind him all charged at Xiao Chen and surrounded him. They did not distinguish between right and wrong and attacked immediately. Some kicked, some hit, some from the front, some from the side, and some from the back. This group of hooligans were used to group fights and knew how to end the fight quickly. They understood the principle of killing a master with a flurry of punches. They directly attacked as a group and cooperated well with each other. They surrounded Xiao Chen from all directions, leaving no blind spots. In other words, no matter which direction Xiao Chen retreated to, it would be useless. He would still be attacked. Su Chuxia and Tian Wangshou screamed and hurriedly dodged to the side. However, Brother Jean did not let these people hit them. He only wanted to hit Xiao Chen, so no one cared about them. If they really didn't lose money later, then they would consider taking the two little girls away and play with them for a while before selling them to the nightclub to pay off the debt. These hooligans were very familiar with this kind of trick of bullying one person. They did it often. However, the person they encountered today was Xiao Chen. Forget about these hooligans, even those martial artists were useless. Xiao Chen casually set up an illusion and then went up to fight. These people originally wanted to hit Xiao Chen, but suddenly their vision blurred. Then, the bald leader felt his body become light and directly flew out. Chapter 551. It turned out that Xiao Chen directly reached out and grabbed his collar. He threw him into the sky, and the guy directly turned into an astronaut and flew up. Therefore, in the eyes of outsiders, this place was covered in dust, and they couldn't see the situation inside clearly. However, there were people constantly flying up into the sky, as if they were launching rockets. The whooshing sounds were very interesting. These people kept taking off, landing, and taking off and landing again. It was like jumping on a trampoline. It was very fun. This is so fun. Xiao Chang, is this a rocket launch? Tian Wangshou shouted excitedly when he saw people constantly rising into the sky from the dust. Su Chuxia was also a little speechless. How could this work? Previously, Su Chuxia thought that Xiao Chen was very pretentious. She thought that he was deliberately showing off to attract her attention so that he could pursue her. However, after knowing that he was from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, she got used to it. If he wasn't powerful, why would he be sent to protect her? This is so boring. When Xiao Chen saw that everyone was lying down, he put away the illusion. The dust gradually dissipated, and then, on the ground, there were small gangsters lying everywhere, including the bald guy and Brother Jean. Especially Brother Jean. He was originally dressed very coolly, but now, he looked like he had just come out of a refugee camp. The gold chain around his neck was also broken and fell to the side. Xiao Chen casually picked up the gold chain and put it in his pocket. This is the appearance fee. But it seems a little. As he said that, Xiao Chen began to search Brother Jean and the bald guy. After searching for a long time, he found 2 wallets. When he opened them, other than bank cards, there was only a few thousand yuan in cash. Xiao Chen was so angry that he threw the wallets on their faces. Poor bastards. Brother Jean and the bald guy were very depressed, but they didn't dare to refute. They had experienced how powerful Xiao Chen was. He was simply not human. At this time, they thought of a name, martial artist. Obviously, Xiao Chen was a martial artist. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so powerful. However, who would go out with a lot of cash? This was the era of card and code scanning. It was inconvenient to carry a lot of money. Let's go. Xiao Chen put away the money and said. Don't. It's fun. Let's try it again. Tian Wangshou saw that the rocket launch was very fun, and he still felt a little unsatisfied, so he quickly said. One more time. Xiao Chen looked at Tian Suruan with a puzzled expression. What do you mean? Just now, they soared into the air. It was quite interesting. It was like watching an acrobatic performance. It was really fun. Tian Sauer said, can you perform it again? What's so fun about this? Xiao Chen suddenly had black lines on his head. Well, let's go eat. Don't worry about these guys. No. Tian Sauerso stomped his feet. You said before that you would listen to me, but now you don't want to listen? Aya, Sister Sauerso is so miserable. It was broken, and someone doesn't want to take responsibility. Okay, then let's do it again. Xiao Chen walked over helplessly and grabbed the bald-headed man. Consider yourself unlucky. Don't. Brother. I was wrong. The bald-headed man was shocked. When he was thrown into the sky, although it felt great at that moment. People said that it felt good to be in the sky. That was what it meant. However, when he fell down, it didn't feel good. His head fell down with a bang, and he was confused. It was easy to get injured. It's useless to say anything. Go up. Xiao Chen swung his hand, and with a swoosh, the bald-headed man flew up. Then, Xiao Chen went to grab Brother Jean next to him. Although Brother Jean was depressed, he could only accept his fate. Who asked them to meet such a martial artist? They should be thankful that they weren't killed directly. It was nothing to be tortured. Fun. Tian Sauerso clapped her hands happily. Oh right, Xiao Chang, can you not let them fall to the ground? It's like throwing balls in a circus. One by one, throw them up when they fall, okay? You're really troublesome. Xiao Chen was a little speechless. Do you think I'm a juggler? Aya, when Sister Sauerso is happy, it doesn't hurt anywhere. Tian Sauerso said. Okay. I'll try. Xiao Chen nodded. Then, he picked up these punks one by one and threw them into the sky. Then, before they could land, he caught them and threw them up again. He was like an acrobat in a circus who kept throwing balls. All the punks didn't fall to the ground and flew around in the sky. Tian Sauerso was happy. Chuxia, it's really fun. Sister Sourso, I didn't expect Xiao Chang to be so powerful. Why don't you just agree to him? Where can you find such a powerful man? If you like it, I'll give it to you. Besides, didn't you get exposed by him? Just nice, you can rely on him. Su Chuxia curled her lips. Although she was also very surprised and felt that Xiao Chen's ability was a little abnormal, when she thought about how he was a martial artist from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, it wasn't a big deal. Of course, this was also because Su Chuxia didn't have much contact with martial artists. Even a martial artist wouldn't be able to do this, let alone a martial artist. After all, each skill had its own specialization. This kind of juggling required a very high reaction speed. Xiao Chen's six senses were sharp, so he could naturally do it. However, how could an ordinary martial artist have this kind of coordination? It wasn't a problem to throw them all up, but it was much more difficult to keep them from falling to the ground. Hee, it's good, but I don't have money. Sister Sourso is used to having money in the past. I can't live without money. Tian Sourso shook his head and said. After playing for a while, Xiao Chen saw that it was about time. After all, there were many onlookers around. If he caused any unnecessary trouble, Xiao Chen didn't catch them again. Bang, bang, bang. With a series of chaotic sounds, these punks all fell to the ground and fainted. Tian Sourso was a little unsatisfied. Xiao Chang, why didn't you continue? That's enough. There are so many people watching. Xiao Chen said, let's go and eat. But don't eat here. There are too many people here. Oh, okay. Tian Sourso noticed that there were many people watching them, so he nodded. Chuxia, let's go. Su Chuxia had wanted to leave a long time ago. Although the juggling performance by Xiao Chen was very fun, it made her a little uncomfortable to be watched by so many people. After hearing Tian Sourso's words, she quickly turned around and left with them. A strong person like Xiao Chen naturally didn't dare to stop them. They all made way for them. The three of them went straight to the parking lot and quickly walked to the edge of the car. After getting in the car, Xiao Chen quickly drove the car out of the parking lot and down the mountain. The onlookers saw that there was no more fun to watch, so they all dispersed. No one cared about those punks. In the distance, Mo.Ji was deep in thought. Then, she quickly returned to Tianqing Temple and hurried to find Taoist Luli. Mo.Ji, you're back? How was it? Taoist Luli asked. Master, that Xiao Chang isn't simple. Mo.Ji said with a dignified expression. Oh. What happened? Tell me about it. Taoist Luli immediately became interested and asked. It's like this. When I secretly followed behind him and observed him, he seemed to have noticed it and suddenly turned around to look for me. Fortunately, I hid quickly. Otherwise, he would have discovered me. Mo.Ji said. Oh. He could actually discover me? Taoist Luli was a little surprised. However, this doesn't mean anything. Some people's sixth sense is particularly sharp. Yes, if this isn't anything, I'm a little surprised by what happened next. Mo.Ji said, the situation is like this. Mo.Ji told him about how Xiao Chen met the Baldy and the others and how he tossed them around like a circus ball. Is that true? So, this Xiao Chang is a warrior? This time, Taoist Luli's expression was a little dignified. Then, we have to pay attention to his appearance, Master. I can confirm that he is a warrior. Mo.Ji said, otherwise, he wouldn't have such great power. Moreover, there is a detail. He can set up illusions. This is something that only a demonic cultivator can do. A demonic cultivator can do it, but so can our Tianqing Taoist, Taoist Luli said. He is just a demonic cultivator. How can he be compared to the true disciples of our Tianqing Taoist? Mo.Ji said disdainfully. Don't underestimate demonic cultivators and martial cultivators. They are also very powerful. Although our Tianqing Taoist is powerful, you haven't mastered it yet. Don't underestimate the enemy. Taoist Luli said. Yes, master is right. Moj quickly said in fear and trepidation. It seems that there is something wrong with this Xiao Chang. Kai Lehu didn't lie. This Xiao Chang is indeed a powerful warrior. He might really be from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. However, his relationship with Tian Shosho is a little strange. Could it be a cover-up? Taoist Luli muttered to himself, is it a coincidence or? Master, then now Moj asked. It's fine. You can leave first. I will call you if there is anything. Taoist Luli waved his hand. Okay, master. Disciple will leave. Moj nodded and left. Taoist Luli pinched his chin thoughtfully. This matter was a little complicated. He didn't want to be the first to stand out, but if he didn't do anything, he might be directly excluded by Kai Lehu. At that time, he wouldn't get a single cent sigh. This Xiao Chang is really tight-lipped. I tried to probe for a long time, but I didn't get anything out of him. The two of them talked nonsense for a long time. What should I do? Taoist Luli also had a headache. The next step was to find out where Xiao Chang lived. From there, he could further guess the relationship between him and Su Chuxia. Chapter 552. Xiao Chen drove the car to the foot of the mountain. There were many restaurants at the foot of the mountain. Xiao Chen stopped the car and asked the two beauties, "What do you want to eat?" "Chuxia, what about you?" Tian Souring looked at the row of restaurants and drooled. "Souring, don't look like you haven't eaten for a long time. People who don't know might think that you came back from a deserted island." Su Chuxia said, "It's hard to imagine that you used to be a young lady of a noble family." No matter how noble I am, didn't I escape?" Tian Souring said indifferently, "Besides, I left when I was young. It's been a few years now. My family has probably forgotten who I am." Xiao Chen was curious as he listened. This Tian Souring used to be a young lady of a noble family? It sounds like she was very rich, but I don't know why she escaped from her family. It's a bit strange. However, Xiao Chen didn't ask much. He was just a passerby in their lives. Even if he and Tian Souring had an accident, Tian Souring couldn't really blame him. Therefore, Xiao Chen didn't care too much. After this mission was over, he should leave. There is a Hong Kong-style restaurant over there. Why don't we eat there? It looks lighter. Su Chuxia looked at these restaurants and chose one. A tea restaurant. Tian Souring obviously didn't like it. I like to eat meat. There is also barbecued meat there. We can eat there later. Xiao Chen glanced at it and said, "There aren't many people in this restaurant. Let's go there." Really, you still like Chuxia? Sister Souring has been poked, and you still speak up for Chuxia. Tian Souring sighed. Hee. Xiao Chen smiled. Okay, I'll treat you, okay? You can eat whatever you want. That's more like it. Tian Souring got out of the car. The three of them walked into the Hong Kong-style restaurant and commented on the photos of the dishes on the display board. At this time, Xiao Chen felt someone coming from behind, but he didn't care. He thought it was a normal customer. However, this person patted him from behind and said, "Xiao Chen." Xiao Chen's heart suddenly skipped a beat. He was slightly shocked, but he still turned his head calmly. He looked at the person blankly and said, "Who are you calling?" However, when Xiao Chen saw the person, he was suddenly stunned. He actually knew this person. He was a good friend of his from junior high. His name was Wang Fantian. This name sounded very arrogant, but in reality, he was the same as Xiao Chen. He came from a big family, but he couldn't cultivate. At that time, he followed his parents to Songning City to start a business, so he went to school in Songning City for a period of time. He sat with Xiao Chen and became good friends. Wang Fengtian and Xiao Chen couldn't cultivate internal energy because they had the same weakness. Wang Fengtian was different from Xiao Chen. He couldn't cultivate internal energy after a serious illness. He could cultivate in the past, and he was already a martial artist at stage 2 of internal energy at a young age. However, after his illness, he had no internal energy. No matter how much he cultivated, his strength increased, but without internal energy, he couldn't level up. Speaking of which, he was slightly stronger than Xiao Chen. The two of them talked about everything. He also knew that Xiao Chen liked Xinjingxian. Wang Fengtian also liked a girl. She was a gentle and quiet girl. Her appearance wasn't that outstanding, but she had an indescribable scholarly aura. After the girl graduated from junior high, she also transferred to another school. Xiao Chen didn't see her again. He didn't expect to meet Wang Fengtian in Lan City. During junior high, his appearance didn't change much. Therefore, Xiao Chen could recognize him at a glance. Xiao Chen wasn't surprised that Wang Fengtian recognized him. His voice now was Xiao Chen's original voice. Wang Fengtian was very familiar with him. From his back, he should be able to recognize him. His voice and back, it wasn't surprising that Wang Fengtian was so determined to recognize him. However, although Xiao Chen was very excited, he couldn't recognize him. It wasn't because he was afraid that Wang Fengtian would report him to the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. With Xiao Chen's knowledge of people, Wang Fengtian was like Zhu Yingxiong. It was because Xiao Chen was afraid that he would be exposed at this time and be seen by people with ulterior motives. Previously, Xiao Chen had a feeling that he was being followed. Although Baldy and the others appeared later, it was possible that Baldy was following them. However, Xiao Chen did not dare to be certain. Moreover, once his identity was exposed, he wouldn't be able to explain to Su Chuxia and Tian Suruan. Therefore, he could only pretend to be confused. You're not Xiao Chen? Wang Fengtian looked at the stranger in front of him in confusion. From his back and voice, this person should be his good friend, Xiao Chen. However, from his appearance, they were completely different people. My surname is Xiao, but I'm not Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen said, did you get the wrong person? Your surname is Xiao too. Then, do you know Xiao Chen? Are the two of you relatives? Wang Fengtian felt that Xiao Chang's back and voice were very similar to Xiao Chen's. The two of them might be relatives. I don't know him. Xiao Chen shook his head and said, I'm sorry, I really got the wrong person. Wang Fengtian smiled bitterly and said, I'm very sorry. It's okay. Xiao Chen turned around indifferently and entered the restaurant with Su Chuxia and Tian Suruan. Only Wang Fengtian was left looking at Xiao Chen's back with some confusion. Xiao Chen didn't expect to meet Wang Fengtian here. However, from his attire, he should be doing quite well. This was a little strange. At that time, he couldn't cultivate, so his family was marginalized and sent to Songning City to take care of the family business. Now, seeing Wang Fengtian get out of a Bugatti sports car dressed in branded clothes, this was a sign that the family valued him. Could it be that he was like him and could cultivate again? Xiao Chen was really happy for him. After all, they used to be brothers, and they were in the same boat. Now, everyone had a new future. The three of them asked for a small private room. Tian Suruan went to order the dishes, leaving only Xiao Chen and Su Chuxia in the private room. Su Chuxia suddenly asked, Xiao Chang, do you know that person just now? Oh. Why do you say that? Xiao Chen was stunned. That's not your original appearance, Su Chuxia said. Xiao Chen is a random name that you came up with when you were carrying out a mission, right? I saw that when you saw him just now, you were slightly stunned. I felt that you seemed to know him, but because you were carrying out a mission, you couldn't acknowledge him, right? You're thinking too much. Xiao Chen smiled and said, I do know someone called Xiao Chen. Huh? Then why did you say that you didn't know him just now? Su Chuxia asked curiously. That Xiao Chen is a wanted criminal in our Supernatural Investigation Bureau. If I said something like this, I might expose my identity. Usually, it's not at that level, and very few people pay attention to this. Xiao Chen explained, that's why I was stunned. I see. Su Chuxia nodded. She was just making a random guess. It wasn't that she suspected anything. After saying this, she poured herself a cup of tea and drank it. She and Xiao Chen didn't have much in common. Previously, it was mostly Tian Suruan talking. Xiao Chen didn't know what to say and closed his eyes to rest. However, as soon as he closed his eyes, Xiao Chen had a feeling that he was being watched. It was as if someone was secretly observing him. When Xiao Chen opened his eyes, this feeling disappeared again. When he closed his eyes again, the feeling came again. When he opened his eyes again, it was gone. This made Xiao Chen feel a little strange. He was clearly in the private room. How could someone be following him? He stood up quietly and said to Su Chuxia, I'll go out and take a look. Don't wander around here. Oh. Su Chuxia was slightly puzzled. However, seeing that Xiao Chen's expression was a little serious, she nodded. Although she said that she didn't want Xiao Chen's protection, after spending time together, she felt that Xiao Chen was a good person. At least, he was much better than Xiao Meng. He was easy to talk to, and they were the same age, so there wasn't much of a generation gap. Looking at Xiao Chen's expression, she guessed that something had happened. Therefore, she cooperated and agreed. She wouldn't purposely disobey him. Xiao Chen got up and walked out of the private room. He saw Tian Suruan ordering food not far away. Over there, Wang Fantian, who he saw before, was also ordering food. However, Wang Fantian didn't talk to Tian Suruan again. Instead, he was ordering food by himself. After looking around, Xiao Chen didn't see any danger. This made him a little puzzled. There was clearly no one following him. Why did he feel like he was being watched? Looking at this restaurant, there were indeed some cameras. However, cameras were cameras. It was impossible for these things to feel like they were monitoring him. Here, Xiao Chen closed his eyes. The feeling appeared again. Xiao Chen was about to go crazy. Just when Xiao Chen didn't know what to do, he heard the voice of the elder heaven ancestor. There's no need to look anymore. Xiao Chen, someone has placed a divine sense imprint on your body. Divine sense imprint? What is that? After listening, Xiao Chen's heart trembled. It didn't sound like anything good. It's an ability of cultivators. They can leave their divine sense imprint on others. Then, through this divine sense imprint, they can feel your location. It can even be used for monitoring and eavesdropping. The elder heaven ancestor said. No way. Who is so powerful? Could it be that Taoist Luli? Xiao Chen suddenly thought of this person. He was afraid that only this person had this ability. Your divine sense imprint is the lowest level of divine sense imprint. It can only sense your location within a certain range, but it can't be used for monitoring and eavesdropping. The elder heaven ancestor said. So, that Taoist Luli is also a cultivator? Xiao Chen was shocked. Chapter 553. That's not necessarily true. Some demonic cultivators can also do it. Moreover, those who refine voodoo and miaojiang can also do it, but the methods are similar. One is the demonic energy imprint, and the other is the voodoo imprint. Elder Heaven Ancestor said, in essence, the effects are similar. So, does Taoist Luli know that I am here now? Asked Xiao Chen. It should be like this. Elder Heaven Ancestor affirmed. Then how should I get rid of it? I can't let this thing always be on me. I think that Taoist Luli is not a good person. He always tries to get information from me. He must have some purpose. Xiao Chen was a little annoyed. It's very simple. This lowest level of spiritual awareness imprint is either on the clothes or on the surface of your body. On the clothes, you just need to take it off and throw it aside or burn it directly. Elder Heaven Ancestor explained, it's a bit difficult to get rid of it on the body. You have to soak it in water for 1 to 3 days, or even longer. Or, you can find the location and directly burn it with samadhi true fire. There should be a touch of dark blue color on the body, a very small dot. Xiao Chen frowned. He must get rid of Daoist Lu Li's spiritual awareness imprint as soon as possible. If this thing really followed him home, then Daoist Lu Li must know where he lived. It would be useless to get rid of it then. However, is it on the clothes or on the body? While Xiao Chen was thinking, Elder Heaven Ancestor continued, Daoist Lu Li did not have physical contact with you, and the talisman paper and cinnabar were also handed to you by the disciple without going through his hands. Therefore, it should only be on your clothes, not on your body. That's good. Xiao Chen breathed a sigh of relief, took off his coat, returned to the box, and threw it aside. Then he closed his eyes again. The feeling had disappeared. Sure enough. At this time, Xiao Chen became more and more certain that Daoist dearly wanted to know where he lived. When he got home, he might wash his clothes, and the spiritual sense imprint would be washed away. Therefore, Daoist dearly did not care. Under normal circumstances, Xiao Chen would inevitably go home with his clothes on. It was impossible to throw them away halfway. What are you doing? Did you notice anything wrong? Su Chusha asked. It's nothing. Xiao Chen said, let's leave as soon as we finish eating. Oh. Su Chusha didn't ask anything else. The dishes were served rather quickly. After Tian Suru ordered, the dishes were served in no time. After the three of them finished eating, they paid the bill and left. Xiao Chen guessed that he had left his coat in the private room and did not take it with him. When the three of them left the restaurant, Su Chusha noticed that Xiao Chen wasn't wearing a coat. She couldn't help but feel a little confused. Huh? Where's your coat? Oh, no, Xiao Chen said. You don't want it anymore? Su Chusha was confused. Nouveau riche. Tian Suru said in admiration, by the way, are you really a low-key nouveau riche? Your car is so well modified. Are you actually very rich? Are you deliberately pretending to be poor? It's all right, Xiao Chen replied casually. Oh, then Sister Suru has decided not to find a boyfriend. You take care of Sister Suru. I will depend on you in the future, Tian Suru said. Of course, no problem. Xiao Chen agreed readily, but he sighed in his heart. After this mission, there probably wouldn't be many opportunities to see each other. After returning to Lan City, Xiao Chen drove the car. Under Su Chusha's guidance, they came to an old-fashioned compound community. This should be the military compound that Su Chusha mentioned. The people who lived here were the workers and technicians of the military factory. Su Chusha's grandmother lived here. Although Su Chusha's father had been promoted to the person in charge of the research base and his salary had increased a lot, it was not a problem for him to buy a good house. Old people still like to live in old places. The three of them went upstairs together. Su Chusha's grandmother lived on the second floor. When Su Chusha opened the door, she saw a kind old lady sitting on the sofa watching TV. Another old man was playing with the flowers. When she saw Su Chusha enter, the old lady looked up. Chusha, Suru, you're here. Huh? There's a guest? Obviously, Su Chusha and Tian Suru came often, but it was Xiao Chen's first time. This is... Granny Su looked at Xiao Chen in surprise. It was the first time that Su Chusha had brought a man over. It had never happened before. Tian Suru wanted to say something but was interrupted by Su Chusha. Granny, this is Suru's boyfriend, Xiao Chang. Oh, Suru's boyfriend. Granny Su laughed. That's true. In the blink of an eye, Suru is a big girl. It's time for her to find a boyfriend. Chusha, you have to hurry. Granny wants to have a fourth generation in one lifetime, Granny. Su Chusha was a little embarrassed. Tian Suru wanted to refute, but when she thought about Su Chusha's shyness, she accepted it. Anyway, Xiao Chen was her temporary boyfriend. Granny, Chusha has a lot of suitors, but we're still in high school. The earliest we can get married is when we're in university. Sigh, I still have to wait a few years. I don't know if I can wait until then. Granny Sue sighed. At this time, Grandpa Sue put down the things in his hands and stood up. Chusha, your granny and I are old. Our only wish is to see you start a family. Don't be so picky. Grandpa, Sue Chusha was a little depressed. Why was it always this topic? Grandpa, Granny, you can live to a ripe old age. By the way, we just came back from Tianqing Temple. Here are 2 bottles of celestial water. Chusha, it's been hard on you. You went to Tianqing Temple again. This is my old habit. Whenever winter comes, I rely on this, Granny Sue said. By the way, Xiao Chang, didn't you say that you have medical skills? Can you take a look at Granny? Tian Suru suddenly remembered what Xiao Chen said before. Seeing how good Xiao Chen was, he might really have a way. Okay, then I'll take a look. Xiao Chen nodded. Young man, you know medical skills? Granny Sue was a little surprised. A little. Xiao Chen smiled. Better than that liar Luli, don't brag. Who doesn't know how to brag? Su Chusha glared at Xiao Chen. If you're so capable, make my granny stand up. Oh, I'll try. As Xiao Chen said this, he turned around and went downstairs. In the trunk of the car, there were some medicine dregs and other things that he brought from Songning City. Xiao Chen didn't take them upstairs because he took the bus back on the first day. He left his car at school, so he didn't have time to take them. Why did you turn around and leave? Tian Suru was a little puzzled. You don't have to do this even if you can't cure her, right? I'm going down to get something. Xiao Chen smiled. Oh, Chusha, I don't think Xiao Chang is someone who brags, Tian Suru said. Let's see. Su Chusha actually felt that Xiao Chen shouldn't brag because it was meaningless. He wasn't really pursuing her. He was just protecting her. Who was he bragging to? However, Xiao Chen's words were too magical. He even said that he was better than Daoist Luli and could make his granny stand up. That was a little unbelievable. At this moment, Daoist Luli sneezed. It was a little strange. Could he still catch a cold? He quickly came to the foot of the mountain and entered the Hong Kong-style restaurant. At this moment, he was dressed in secular clothes. No one recognized him. He was the famous Daoist Luli. When he entered a private room and saw a piece of clothing thrown in the corner, Daoist Luli was instantly furious. Wow, he actually saw through it? Impossible. How did he know that my divine sense imprint was on the clothes? Daoist Luli looked at the abandoned clothes and muttered to himself. Did he forget? But it was impossible for someone to forget his coat in the middle of winter, right? There was definitely something wrong with this Xiao Chang. Daoist Luli was 100% sure that this person was not simple. He was not an ordinary person. However, he didn't believe that Xiao Chang was from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. He felt that Xiao Chen seemed to have some relationship with Taoism. He was not a martial cultivator or a demonic cultivator. This was because his divine sense imprint could not be discovered even by a demonic cultivator. This was different from the demonic chi imprint. I wonder how Nishima Kikuo is doing. If this Xiao Chang is really powerful, Nishima Kikuo probably won't be able to find out anything. Indeed, at this moment, Ling Qinxue was kneeling in front of Nishima Kikuo and was reporting something. In that case, you can't be sure who this Xiao Chang is? Nishima Kikuo frowned. Yes, Lord Nishima, please punish me for my incompetence. Ling Qinxue said in fear and trepidation. This is not your fault. Nishima Kikuo waved his hand. Next time, follow this Xiao Chang and see where he lives. It's best to test his strength at night. Qinshu understands. Ling Qinxue immediately nodded. If you are not as strong as him, retreat immediately. Don't continue fighting. Nishima Kikuo said. The most important thing is not to let him discover your identity. Rest assured, Lord Nishima. Ling Qinshue replied. Xiaochen returned upstairs with a bag of medicinal dregs in his hand. He said directly, I see that Grandpa Su's body isn't very good. You should have some cardiovascular disease, right? Yes, young man. You can also see my illness? Grandpa Su looked at Xiaochen in surprise. He didn't expect Xiaochen to be able to see his illness from afar. How brilliant was his medical skills? Xiaochen actually couldn't see it either. It was the elder heaven ancestor who told him. Xiaochen, are you really trying to woo Su Chuxia? The elder heaven ancestor asked with a smile. Didn't I make it in time? Besides, I have a good relationship with Su Chuxia, so I helped her out. There are medicinal dregs anyway, Xiaochen said. I think you are laying the groundwork in advance, the elder heaven ancestor said. You are thinking too much, Xiaochen said. Su Chuxia was a little surprised this time. Xiaochen could see Grandpa's problem with just one look. Chapter 554. Is there a clay pot here? Xiaochen asked. Yes. Su Chuxia nodded. She went to the kitchen and found a clay pot. She was very familiar with the surroundings. You want to brew medicine? But where did you get it from? There aren't any pharmacies around here, right? Even if there are, they wouldn't be able to get it so quickly. Your celestial water is a lie. Mine is the real celestial medicine. Xiaochen smiled. It can cure all illnesses. Grandpa Su and Grandma Su will be cured if they drink it together. Really? Su Chuxia didn't believe him. You trust that Taoist priest Lu Li's celestial water so much. Why are you suspecting my celestial medicine? Xiaochen took the clay pot and skillfully added some medicinal dregs. He filled it with water and started brewing. How can that be the same? Su Chuxia lowered her voice. You're from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. I admit that you know a lot, but medicine, then just take a look. Xiaochen smiled. Since you know who I am, you should know that I'm not a scammer. I wouldn't harm you. That's true. Su Chuxia nodded. After brewing the medicine, Xiaochen calculated the time and chatted with Su Chuxia. That Taoist priest Lu Li isn't a good person. Try not to go to Tianqin Temple in the future. Now that I've cured your grandpa and grandma, you don't have to go anymore. Why? I go there every year to ask for medicine. I think Taoist priest Lu Li is very kind. He even gave us so many things this year. Su Chuxia was confused. Is there someone who wants to harm me? Yes. Xiaochen nodded. I suspect that Taoist priest Lu Li is one of them. He kept trying to get information out of me, and he even put a tracking device on my clothes. Xiaochen didn't say spiritual imprint because Su Chuxia didn't understand it. He used a more common term. She would definitely understand a tracking device. Ah, a tracking device. Really? Su Chuxia was shocked. How could this be? So that's why you threw your coat away. Why else would I throw away my coat? Xiaochen shrugged. I bought that coat with my own money. But if you lose it, won't Taoist Lu Li find out? Su Chuxia asked. He has suspected me for a long time. If he finds out, then so be it. Even if I burn it, he will still find out. If I go back home, he will know where I live. Xiaochen said indifferently, I didn't expect these people to be so smart. My disguise is so good, but they still suspect me. It's all because of that little Meng. After he was exposed, anyone who appears around me will be the first to be suspected. Su Chuxia said helplessly, you guys are so protective of me that it's starting to affect my life. Luckily, you're easy to talk to. That can't be helped. Your father is engaged in confidential research. Some people want to spy on the secrets, so they will come up with crooked ideas and attack you. Xiao Chen said, I'll deal with them one by one after I figure out which group of people are after you. Then, what about after that? Won't I have to be protected by you for the rest of my life? Su Chusha asked gloomily. That won't happen. These are all people who were hiding in Lan City before, so it's not easy to determine. As for those who came later, as long as they are suspicious people who entered Lan City from abroad, they will be immediately targeted by the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. It won't be a big problem, Xiao Chen said. Oh. Su Chusha nodded. I'll go see Tian Suruan. Grandpa Su and Granny Su chatted with Tian Suruan. They were a little confused. Why was Xiao Chang talking to Su Chusha in the kitchen, but Tian Suruan was talking to them? Whose boyfriend was he? Why was it a little messy? Seeing Su Chusha come out, Tian Suruan said, Chusha, why were you gone for so long? Did you? She was just about to say that she was interested in Xiao Chang, but on second thought, Su Chusha's grandparents were still there. She quickly swallowed her words. Did Xiao Chang boast and can't be cured? I don't think so. I saw that he was quite serious, so I asked about the details. Su Chusha didn't say that someone was targeting her. She was afraid that her grandparents would worry. After a while, Xiao Chen also came out. He carried 2 bowls of medicine and placed them in front of Grandpa Su and Granny Su. Elders, drink these 2 bowls of immortal medicine. I guarantee that your illness will be cured. Oh. Huh, okay. Granny Su didn't doubt it. In her opinion, Tian Suruan's boyfriend wouldn't harm her. At most, it wouldn't work, but she couldn't let him down. Grandpa Su thought the same, so the 2 of them drank the medicine without saying a word. Elders, it's best for you to move your bodies and let the medicine digest as soon as possible. Just moving a little will do. Xiao Chen said. After all, their injuries were different from Grandpa Jin's. They weren't martial artists, so their injuries weren't very serious. They just needed to move a little to absorb the medicine. The 2 elders nodded. They listened to Xiao Chen and began to move. Granny Su's legs weren't working well, so she couldn't stand up. She could only twist her body back and forth on the sofa. Grandpa Su, on the other hand, walked around the living room. After a while, Grandpa Su reacted and quickly ran to the bathroom. Granny Su didn't move as much, but she didn't move as fast. After a while, Grandpa Su came out. This time, not long after, Granny Su also rushed from the sofa to the bathroom. Hey, Xiao Chang, did you give my grandparents laxatives? Why do they keep going to the bathroom? Su Chusha was a little suspicious. Could it be that Xiao Chen's medicine wasn't clean? Yes, they're excreting some of the toxins in their bodies. But didn't you notice that your grandmother is already running like she's flying? Xiao Chen laughed. Ah. Only then did Su Chusha realize that Granny ran into the bathroom on her own. Previously, Granny didn't walk this fast. Even if she stood up, she would need someone to support her. Her rheumatism was very serious, and it was almost like she was paralyzed. But now, Grandpa Su was stunned after hearing this. He remembered that Granny Su had indeed rushed into the bathroom on her own, and she was very fast. Was she really cured? However, Grandpa Su had experienced it himself. He felt refreshed, and the discomfort from before was gone. Old people always had this and that problem, but now he felt like he was a lot younger. It was as if he had returned to the days when he worked in a factory. He was full of energy. Now, he could go back to work without a problem. Young man, your medical skills are really good. This is indeed an elixir. Grandpa Su stretched his body and felt very comfortable. He couldn't help but say from the bottom of his heart, souring, your boyfriend is too amazing. Is he from a medical family? Ha ha. Tian Souring laughed unnaturally. She didn't know where Xiao Chen came from, so she could only say casually, he knows a little about everything. At this time, Granny Su also walked out of the bathroom. After taking 2 steps, she realized that she could walk again. She was instantly shocked, and her expression was exactly the same as Grandpa Su's. My leg is cured. At this moment, Su Chusha couldn't help but admire Xiao Chang. She also deeply admired the Supernatural Investigation Bureau for being full of capable people. The team leader of Team C was indeed extraordinary. Of course it's cured, so you can throw away that Taoist Luli's immortal water. Xiao Chen said, I won't take away the rest of the herbs. You too can brew it again tomorrow. Half an hour, no more and no less. If you take it again, it won't be a problem for you to live to 100 years old. Really? Su Chusha's eyes lit up, and she looked at Xiao Chen in surprise. It can even prolong one's life? Of course. After expelling the toxins from the body, one's entire body will return to its youthful state. It's not a problem for one to live to 100 years old, Xiao Chen said. Thank you. For the first time, Su Chusha felt that having Xiao Chen by her side was quite good. Previously, that Xiao Chen didn't know anything and only knew how to cause trouble. Now that Xiao Chen was here, not only could he accompany her to get medicine, but he could also treat her illness. Now, she didn't mind having Xiao Chen by her side at all. It's all right. With Souring's relationship, there's no need to thank me. Xiao Chen said with a smile. Don't, you have to thank me. Chusha, you have to treat Sister Souring to a feast. Tian Souring quickly said. Okay. Su Chusha didn't reject this time. You have to eat. You have to treat me. Grandpa Su quickly took out a stack of money from his pocket. There were more than 1,000 yuan, and he directly gave it to Su Chusha. Then, he said to Xiao Chen and Tian Souring, Grandpa knows that this is not enough to pay for the medical expenses, but it's still enough to treat you to a meal. He also knew that if he gave money to Xiao Chen definitely wouldn't accept it. This was the only way to express his gratitude. Okay, then we'll eat Grandpa Su's meal. Xiao Chen didn't reject it. If he did, the old man might feel uneasy. The three of them chatted for a while and went back. It was getting late. Xiao Chang, why do you have medical skills? Tian Souring asked curiously. Why do you seem to be omnipotent? Are you a student or not? I've read novels and movies. It's said that some soldiers or secret agents return to the city and become students. On the one hand, they enjoy the school life, but on the other hand, they are actually secretly carrying out special missions. Are you the same? Cough cough. After hearing Tian Souring's words, Su Chusha was shocked and immediately coughed. Chusha, are you kidding? I was just randomly guessing. You don't have to have such a big reaction, right? It's just a joke, and you're looking down on me. Tian Souring obviously misunderstood Su Chusha's meaning. I also know that it's very magical, but... Xiao Chang, how do you really know everything? What do I know? Xiao Chen smiled bitterly. You can cook, fight, have medical skills, race cars. What else can't you do? Tian Souring said excitedly. Otherwise, you're a hidden psychic among the people, right? Not only do I watch TV, but I also read novels. Lin Yi from School Beauty's Bodyguard and Yang Ming from So Pure, So Flirtatious. They are all masters hiding among the people. Are you one too? You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.